Welcome to Capesthorne Hall, a historic stately home in Macclesfield in Cheshire, where people from all over the UK have been flocking to have their questions answered. We'll find the truth behind family stories, share experiences of lost loved ones, and help people discover who they are by revealing where they came from.
Well, my surname's Harris, but I heard that it comes from Hughes, and the guy went bankrupt and moved to England and changed his name.
That's actually him. That's Harry Hill.
Well, I've always been told related to Guy Fawkes since I was told about 20-odd years ago, so I just came to see if there's any truth to the rumour.
Have you come across this before, or have you used it in your research? But
No.
It's a really useful source.
Getting ready to tackle today's family mysteries, our team of experts. Historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia is investigating a surprise connection with European royalty.
You're actually part of the royal house.
Writer and historian Tessa Dunlop reveals the historic story one man's father kept hidden all his life.
I just wish he would have told me this when he was alive.
And preparing to unravel our first family mystery is Ancestry DNA expert Brad Argent. Britain seems obsessed with immigration, but what about the millions of Brits who've left the UK looking for work or adventure over the past 200 years? Up next is a woman who's desperately searching for the truth. Did her ancestor really jump ship in America, leaving a pregnant wife and children at home, never to return?
There's so many questions I have about my family, but in particular, one in relation to my great-grandfather, who went away to sea and never came home. My name is Julianne Coates, and I'm from Liverpool. My mum is the main reason that I'm chasing my ancestry. Many years ago, she wanted to start doing the family tree, and unfortunately, she got ill and passed away and didn't get the chance to do it. Some years later, when I got ill, I decided that I wanted to try and leave my legacy of the family tree. I've now been diagnosed with an incurable cancer, and it means even more. From what I was told, my great-grandfather, David Jones, and his wife, Lydia, fell in love, and they shouldn't have. She was from a wealthy family, he was from a very poor family, and her family did not approve. They had quite a hard life, and then David disappeared. In 1909, he went on board a ship to work abroad, but he never came home. Lydia was pregnant at the time. This is the last letter that David wrote to his wife, Lydia. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Dear wife and children, I write these lines to you, hoping you have got it all over, and it is a girl. The ship is going to stop trading between here and New York, and I am leaving her. I am never going to see any more or leave you once I get home again. So no more at present from your broken-hearted husband, D. Jones. I must conclude I cannot stick her any longer. She is a floating hell. And he was referring to the ship that he was on. It's just heartbreaking. And that's why I can't understand what happened to him. Where did he go? Because he had all intention of coming home. I have such a passion since I've been diagnosed. I don't know how long I have. The hospitals can't tell me. So to me, it's really important that I can answer as many questions on the family tree as I possibly can before it's my time to go.
Julie, welcome.
Thank you.
What a wonderful thing to do.
It's emotional.
It's such a heartbreaking story, isn't it? Here is a man, your great-grandfather, David Jones, working really hard for his family. He was a cook or a baker on the ship,
Yes.
wasn't he? This is the Cape North, and we're pretty certain this is the ship that he was on.
Never seen that.
We had to have a pretty hard look, but we think we found it. Now, what the ship would do is it would leave Liverpool, and then it would stop at various ports, and then it would head off to America. and then it may do a coastal run in America. I think here it's in Texas, getting some cotton, and then it would head its way back again with more cargo. This was the nature of the journey. The ship was headed to New York. We know that because we can look at manifests for the ship. So the question then becomes, where do we look? Do we look for him in New York? Where is he? It wouldn't be easy if it was anyone. His name was David Jones.
Welsh. Difficult.
Yeah, there's a few of them.
Just the odd one.
We looked at every David Jones that we could find in America at around that time to see if there was any way they could be your David Jones. Nothing. He's not in America. We're almost certain of that fact. Now, could he have got off the ship and changed his name? Of course. But we're pretty certain that he didn't do that because Lydia was frantically searching for him.
Yes.
So she's writing to embassies, she's writing to the shipping companies, she's trying to get some sense of, where's my husband, where's my husband? We have this wonderful letter that you have in your collection from the owners of the Cape Nor, Steele, Young and Company. And it talks about him actually leaving the ship in Cuba with two other men, heading off towards Santiago to work on a mine. So we have to start to speculate about what might have happened. And so we all used our collective experience to try and posit a theory about what happened. We think he's looking for work so that he can earn money to get back to his wife, back to his family. He clearly had enough of working on the ship. So we think he went to this mine.
Oh, wow.
This is El Cobre mine. It's just outside Santiago in Cuba. It's the biggest copper mine in the country. Now, not long before he got there, they just restarted the mine after decades of it being shut down. And they still may have been trying to get it into operation. So it would have been quite a treacherous environment. He's a cook, right?
Yeah.
He's not a miner.
No.
And we think what happened is at some point he met his end. 4,000 miles away from his family.
I've always wondered. I've always thought, did he make another life for himself or did something happen to him?
This is a man who wants to come home.
I always was frightened that he couldn't face up to coming home because the journey there had been so bad and that's why he'd started a new life. So I apologise. I've called him fit to burn over the years. Bless him. So sad.
All this work you've done, remembering David, right? And you've got this wonderful gift that you can pass on. He's going to be remembered for generations.
I know, and it's all thanks to my mum. She never got to do the family tree, and I think that's what gave me the push to do it, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. Thank you. I'm blessed. Thank you.
So Davy Jones, he was not a bad lot after all, was he?
No, and I feel quite ashamed, to be honest. I've called him all the names under the sun over the years, thinking that he left his pregnant wife and family, and couldn't face the journey home.
And all the while, it looked like he was trying to get back home to Lydia and the kids.
I know. It looks like he was just trying to get some money to get back on the ship, but never mind.
If he was still alive today, what would you say to him?
I'd give him a big hug and apologise. That letter is a letter from someone who loves his family. And I apologise if you're listening.
The Russian Revolution of 1917 was no place for royalists who fled across Europe looking for shelter. Alexia Reed, an English teacher from West Yorkshire, has heard stories in her family of grandeur and drama, and she's come here today hoping we'll confirm a link to Russian royalty.
I'm Alexia Reed. I'm married to Ron Reed. We've got 2 children and 3 cats. I live in Shipley, West Yorkshire. My family originates from Russia. My great-grandfather, he was an advisor to the Tsar. And my family, they were very wealthy. They had a lot of land, they had a big house, they had servants. My grandmother used to tell me lots of stories about life in Russia, and her brothers and sisters used to spend a lot of time playing in the palaces, and they would just run around and play hide and seek. The Russian Revolution was in 1917. I think they left shortly after that. My great-grandfather, he felt his life and his family's life were in peril because of the associations with the Tsar. My grandmother told me the story of when they had to leave. They got told to pack up. They literally had a suitcase with a few things, and they sewed the jewels into their coats so that they had something that was valuable, and they left. They left their life. I always felt that there was something in Russia that I needed to find, I guess, a sense of place, a sense of purpose. And I'd like to find out where I'm from, where my family come from, part of that story.
Hello, Alexia.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So, your grandmother, Helen, passed on a lot of stories about Russia to you. And this is a photograph of your grandmother.
That's right.
But she was born in St. Petersburg, Russia, on the 4th of June, 1917. So a lot of the stories that she would have got were not stories that she herself has witnessed.
Well, she told me what it was like when she left Russia. It was very, very different. They were quite rich, they were quite wealthy. She told me stories of going in the Tsar's palace and playing with her brothers and sisters and what it was like and how they had to flee very quickly, and their life in France was very different. They were quite poor.
OK. So your family were being hunted, were they all?
Yes, my family were white Russians.
I see.
With association to the Tsar, so that they had to leave.
And White Russians is the name given to those Russians who fought against
Yes.
the Russian Revolution. So this is your family tree. This is you, Alexia Reed, your mother, and then going back 6 generations all the way back.
Wow, that's a long way back, actually.
It is a long way
It is
back.
a long way back.
All the way to the 1800s. Now, your family are a very well-known Russian family, as you suspected. Now, this is your great-grandfather, Sergei, and we know that your great-grandfather had significant ties to Tsar Nicholas II until his forced abdication on the 15th of March, 1917. 1917 was a very tumultuous year for Russia. The revolution, which took place in October, we call it the October Revolution, was led by this man, Lenin. After the revolution, there was a Russian civil war. Your great-grandfather, Sergei, he was on the wrong side in that war.
Oh.
And he fought against the Red Army. But he contracted typhus and was left incapacitated in Crimea in 1920 when it fell to the Bolsheviks. The Sergei that you know, his father was also called Sergei.
Right,
And this is him.
OK.
We'll call him the patriarch of the family
Right.
to avoid confusion. This man was a friend of Lenin.
Wow.
He wasn't a White Russian, and also considered somewhat of a teacher.
Wow.
The reason why his son was able to get out of Russia is because of his father's connections to the Russian establishment.
Oh, wow.
It was his father who got the fake papers that enabled your family to escape St. Petersburg, all the way through Europe into France.
Right. Wow.
So it was connections to the revolutionaries
Wow.
that ensured their safety. Even though his son left Russia, he stayed.
It's interesting to think that he still stayed in Russia after all the danger. He must have loved Russia very much, I guess.
Indeed.
His family's gone.
There is a memorial plaque at his old address dedicated to him in St. Petersburg. There's still a little more, we have to say. Now, Nicholas II had links all the way across Europe to Queen Victoria, to the German Kaiser. So there were strong European connections between the Russian ruling family and other European families. That was also true of, inverted commas, lesser nobility,
OK.
of which your family were part. So we began to investigate your tree further. Your family has links to European royalty.
Oh, really? I joked about that.
And that means... You don't have to joke anymore.
I really joked about that.
And why does it say Margaret II?
I've no idea.
Because she's the current Queen of Denmark. You're actually part of the royal house. Through this indirect route.
Right.
Through your great ancestor, Theodore.
Are you kidding me?
And you come from Shipley.
Yes. But Yorkshire lass, eh? Way up bet. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I never knew that about my family. I actually was kind of worried that it was going to be something quite dark, but it was something nice, which is good. Yeah, I'm quite shocked. I don't really feel like royalty, but do you know what? I'd kind of like to meet the Queen of Denmark, but, you know, we'll see if that's possible.
Having arrived with a question about why her family fled Russia, Alexia now leaves with that answered, but also with proof that she's connected to European royalty. That's a job well done. Now, what's in a name? That's what our next visitor is keen to find out. Immigration quotas are nothing new, but in 1920s Canada, everyone seemed to be welcomed, except for a few. Student Emma Litver-Bailey wants to know the origins of the name Litver and what it meant for her mother's family.
I'm Emma Litver-Bailey. I'm in my first year at the University of Manchester studying history. My question is about my last name, Litver. The name comes from my mother's side of the family. It's her maiden name. About 10 years ago, my mum died from breast cancer, and ever since, I kind of lost a link to part of my family history. She's not there to just ask her where Litver comes from or originates. My mum was born in Canada. My mother's father, I don't know as much. I know he was born in British Columbia. I think he has some Eastern European descent. Not too sure, I've been told everywhere. Lithuania, Latvia, I'm not too sure. That's one of the things I'm here to find out. Today, what I'm hoping for is obviously finding that sense of identity and connection with my family's history. But obviously, it's also so I can connect with my mum again.
Hello, Emma. Welcome.
Hi.
Who is this charming person?
This is my mum, Andrea, and she passed away 10 years ago when I was about 9 or 10, and she's the reason why I'm here today. I'm looking into my last name. I have quite an unusual double-barreled name, one of the last names being Litver. It's my mother's maiden name.
We looked at your DNA, and you can see here on your DNA, there's a big chunk, right? That green chunk there, clustered.
Yeah.
Around Eastern Europe. So there's definitely some kind of Eastern European connection. But how did that name get to you here in the UK? So this is your family tree. It starts with you, and we step back and we see the Litver surname coming in with your grandfather, John, then his father, your great-grandfather, Jan, and then Joseph. So I want to step you through some of the records to try and tell this story of Litver and how it came to the UK, Canada, and where it came from. So if we look at two people, right? I want to have a look at Jan and Josefina, and these are your great-grandparents. We found this passenger record to Canada. We can see the date on it there. It's the 22nd of June, 1937. Passenger lists are wonderful because they give us such a great insight into a moment in history, and they tell us a lot about our ancestors. And if we zoom in, we can actually see Jan and Josefina on there. That is them coming out of Europe. We get to know their age, their relationships with each other, so they're married, what their occupations are, where they're from, Slovak, right? So this is it, Czechoslovakia, Slovakia. This is where you're from.
I had no idea. I didn't even know they were from Slovakia. I was assuming Latvia or Lithuania. I think my brother suggested Belarus. I had no idea. I didn't even think about Slovakia.
So this is the evidence, right, to support how that Litva name got to Canada. The next question is, why? It's between the wars. There is the Nazi uprising in Germany. There is some turmoil in Czechoslovakia, or what today we call Slovakia. So maybe that was what was motivating them to go. But they were going to something. So now I want to have a look at another record. And this is the Canadian National Railways Record of Service to Families. At the time, Canada was looking for people. They needed farmers to farm the land that they had. Railways were a boom. And this document here actually tells us a little bit about Jan and what he was doing. These are his dependents, Josephina, 21, and his mother, Anna, 53 years old. It had her as a dependent in brackets. Does that mean she was a dependent back in Slovakia? Or does that mean she was a future dependent in Canada? We don't know. But there's a little more to the story. This is another shipping record to Canada in 1924. And this is Jan's dad, Joseph. He'd be your great-great-grandfather. He went out in 24 and his son went out in 1937. 13 years later. When we sort of found this, felt that it really resonated with what's happening in the world today. The story of immigrants hasn't really changed. He says here he's a farmer. But the thing that really hits home for me is when it says nearest relative in country from which you came. And it's his wife, Anna.
So he had to leave her behind.
Yeah.
So sad. It's heartbreaking, but it's a very modern kind of problem that we're still seeing today in the world.
How do you think your mum would feel to know all this?
I think she would have loved to know all this. She was very into family history, and because it's such an interesting history, it's not very typical, I would say. Yeah, I think she would have loved it. Being an immigrant herself.
The journey of your ancestors is a journey that many people have taken and will continue to take, because that's what humans do. Thank you so much for coming and letting us be part of your story.
Thank you very much. It's been very enlightening. I was expecting them to say, oh, you're from Lithuania or Latvia, but Slovakia is a surprise. And to find out this history behind it of Josephina and Jan coming over and some of my family having to split up and leave family behind and everything they know. I think it's so interesting. I think my mum would be impressed. I think it was interesting how similar her great-grandfather or grandfather's story was to her own. I mean, she was an immigrant. She came from Canada to a new country, much like my family did. And it's just interesting to see that it's almost like a family trend. Maybe I need to go move somewhere now.
So we've cracked just where Emma's surname Litva originates, Slovakia. Another mystery solved. On the way, will historian Onyeka Nubia crumble one family's hopes for a link to a famous biscuit company?
And he, by profession, was a
baker.
How did you guess?
And genealogist Brad Argent is tasked with finding Julie's ancestral link to a World War II story that inspired a film.
And this is what we found.
Next up, a family story that's been passed down through generations.
Hello, Jeffrey. And how are you?
And Margaret. Hello, how are you?
Jeffrey Homewood and his mum think they might be linked to a famous biscuit company. Will historian Onyeka Nubia break their dreams?
Why are you here today?
We've come to look at my mother's great-grandmother's side of the family, Elizabeth Carr. Well, it is a story from my grandfather's family that we was related to the Carr biscuit people.
And why do you feel you have that connection?
Elizabeth Carr was born in Whitehaven in Cumberland.
Excellent.
When her father, Robert, he left the army, he left and went to Carlisle, which is where the Carr Biscuit factory is.
We found out some interesting information about your family. By the age of 23, Elizabeth Carr was living in Birkenhead with a family called Bake.
Oh, OK.
Bake,
Right,
B-A-K-E.
okay.
Oh, God.
Right, as in to bake the cake.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. This is actually true.
OK.
And they were confectioners. It's not a joke.
You can see where the stories have come from.
So by 1874, Elizabeth is married to a John Ayton. And he, by profession, was a
baker.
How did you guess?
Yeah.
So we could understand, therefore, where this sort of confusion may come from. The famous Carrs actually were from the Kendal area, not Carlisle. So unfortunately, there's no connection between your family and the famous Carr family. But your family seems far more interesting than the Carr family.
Well, we are.
So no connection there to the famous Biscuit family, but definitely some new information Geoffrey and Margaret can digest. Now, genealogist Brad Argent is back again with Julie Coates. After solving the mystery of her missing ancestor, she wants to find out if a different relative played a major part in this amazing story. It's the 3rd of February, 1941, and the SS politician has set sail from Liverpool, bound for Jamaica and New Orleans, and carrying 270,000 bottles of whiskey. 2 days later, it ran aground off the coast of Scotland. The crew scrambled off and managed to save the cargo. The locals who witnessed the event saw fit to help themselves to the whiskey. They swiftly claimed it under the rules of salvage. But it wasn't long before customs folk turned up to retrieve the whiskey. They recovered as much as they could, except what had already been drunk or cleverly hidden. It's a cracking story, so good that it inspired the 1949 Ealing comedy Whisky Galore, and gave the people of the Outer Hebrides a little tipple to enjoy during the austerity of World War II.
So, Julie, I know you come from a long line of sailors, and that you have a second question about Tom Huntington.
Yes.
This handsome gentleman here. First of all, how is he connected to you? And secondly, what's the question?
He's my great-uncle, and he was a mariner all his life. It was a sort of family story, I suppose, passed down, that he was something to do with the Whisky Galore story, but I can't find any documents to prove that.
That's like, what a wonderful thing to be connected to.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting piece of history. So here is the SS politician. This is the ship at the centre of what we're talking about here. On board is 28,000 crates of whiskey. In February, it runs into trouble in the Outer Hebrides. Grand Uncle Tom. He used to tell a story about it, didn't he?
He used to say that it was after it was shipwrecked. He went up with a captain from one of the boats, I don't know which one, and he helped give out the whiskey to the locals. But I've never been able to find him on any crew lists or anything to say that he actually did. So that's why really I want to find out, is it true?
We've put our best people to the task. Do you want to see what they found?
Oh, yes, please.
And we pulled up the logs of the SS politician. And this is what we found. So this is the crew list.
I don't know how you found that, because I never could.
Can you see Tom Huntington?
Oh, wow. And that's the crew list from the SS politician?
This is the crew list from the SS politician.
So he was actually on the ship itself?
He was indeed.
Wow. I feel quite emotional at that. Gosh. Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
To have this hard, solid evidence that it backs up.
I can't thank you enough. I really can't thank you enough. Because I didn't realise he was actually on the ship itself. The stories that have gone through the family was that he just used to say it was after the shipwreck and he went to hand out bottles to the locals, so I assumed he'd gone up on another ship to help out. I didn't realise he was actually on that ship. That is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much.
Julie saw that crew list and your great Uncle Tom was on it, and that seemed like a real surprise to you. What was it like?
It was a real surprise because cousins have tried to track him down and to find out was he on it or what he had to do with it, and we can't find the information. So how you have, I don't know, but I'm absolutely thrilled, and he was top of the list as well.
Since your cancer diagnosis, you want questions answered. Is that about trying to find out who you are?
I think it's more a case of what I can leave for the next generation. I'm very proud of my heritage, where I come from, and I think when you're given the diagnosis that I have, it makes you realise you are on borrowed time, and if I can pass just a little bit down to the next generation, they won't have to ask the questions that I have.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a great surprise there for Julie. We've managed to prove that her great-uncle Tom was actually on the famous Whisky Galore ship. Next, a story shrouded in secrecy. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 brought the theatre of war to Asia and the Pacific. British colonies fought back, with citizens of the empire joining in. Peter Sarowy wants to know what his Singapore-born dad did during the war.
Let me get that nose. Ow! Let me get that nose. Ow!
My name is Peter Ali Sarowy. I'm 46 years old. I'm married to Lisa. I have a 2-year-old son called Alexander. I consider myself a Scouser, but I live in Lancaster now, so I'm not really a proper Scouser anymore. My dad's name was Ali bin Sarowy. All I know is from Malaysia, and I don't really know about his parents. When I was about 19, I found a British Empire medal in my dad's wardrobe. I did ask my dad about it, but he just told me not to talk about it. It wasn't long after that my mum and dad split up. I kept in touch with my dad, but after a couple of years, we just fell apart. We didn't really keep in touch. About 3 years ago, I was emailed by this Australian guy. He told me that during the Second World War, my dad was on the same ship as his dad, the Teluga. The ship got torpedoed in Australia by a Nazi U-boat. And luckily, he was on deck with a couple of other officers, and they survived to get onto a lifeboat. He was on the sea for about 56 days, and he ended up on an island in Seychelles, where he was finally rescued. I view my dad as a war hero because it was a statement of one of the English officers, and he said if it wasn't for my dad and the other 2 Malayans, the whole crew would have been dead. Basically because my dad's skills and the other Malayan skills of how to catch fish, how to catch like the seagulls, and also how to preserve the rainwater which they caught. About 7 years ago, I weighed 17 stone. I lost 7 stone. And from losing 7 stone, I went on to achieve my main running ambitions, which was to run marathons. When I do my endurance events, I feel like it's in my blood, because my dad had to endure 56 days on a life raft. I'd like to know more information about what happened with my dad, to find more history about my dad, about his family, and I would love to know the whole story.
Peter Sarowy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
What a tremendous story.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so overwhelmed about it.
A bit of a mystery.
Oh, definitely.
Your dad, Ali.
Yeah.
Well, let's see, first of all, if we can unpick what happened in the war that clearly was so traumatic. He felt unable, for whatever reason, to share it with his son. This is an image of the Tulagi, which your father was on. He was a seaman in the Merchant Navy and had been working as such throughout the war, more or less. This ship, incidentally, almost purpose-built. It was built in 1939, so a relatively modern vessel. It leaves Australia in March 1944, 54 crew, of which your father is a significant player, a quartermaster. You know, of course, they're crossing the Indian Ocean, and you can probably take over the story at this point.
Yeah, as they were crossing the Indian Ocean, it was torpedoed by a Nazi U-boat.
Research has uncovered that, in fact, it wasn't a Nazi U-boat.
Right, okay.
It was a Japanese submarine.
Ah, right, okay.
That torpedoed in the middle of the night, 10 minutes after midnight.
Oh, brilliant.
And do you know what the Tulagi was carrying?
Was it flour?
That's right, 1,850 tons of flour. And what is flour? Incredibly explosive.
Definitely, yeah.
So, boom.
Very combustible, yeah.
Went up in a matter of moments. Everyone below deck died instantaneously. A lot of the lifeboats were destroyed. They got 4 onto the water's surface, and just 15 men scrambled onto those lifeboats, including your father.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Very lucky man.
I can confirm the first few days they began with food rations they'd accrued from the Tulagi. So for the first 27 days, there was half a biscuit and 12 milk tablets each, and a little bit of chocolate even for the first 6 days. But of course, that quickly ran out. You yourself were aware, weren't you, that your father played a very important role?
Yeah.
And here we have testimony to his vital role in maintaining life. MV motor vessel Tulagi sunk by enemy action. There it is on the 28th of March, 1944. Have you seen this document before?
No, I don't think I've seen this one, no.
Well, here we have him, Ali Sawi. And if we just focus on the highlighted bits, I think it'll give you some idea of the importance, the significance of Ali's role.
Malays improvised a spear from a raft extension and a pair of scissors from a first aid box. And throughout the entire experience, these men displayed excellent morale and attitude, and it would hardly be possible to explain in words just how they did for the well-being of the party. So, yeah, it's very, very encouraging to hear, and, you know, to know that these guys survived because of my dad and his 2 Malayan friends.
Yeah.
Without their skills, you know, none of them would have survived.
And your father, of course, able to guddle for fish and catch seagulls. How did he catch seagulls? That is...
Basically, I heard a story where they used to just lie on the rafts. They pretend that they were dead, so they stayed as still as possible with their eyes open, so the seagulls would come down, land on their faces and try and peck their eyes. So as they landed on their faces, they grabbed the seagulls.
Oh. So 1 second from blindness.
Exactly,
oh,
yeah.
God.
So they had to be quick, and obviously,
Yeah. We know that, of course, the Tulagi goes down on the 28th of March. By the 19th of May, the 2 remaining lifeboats became separated.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, therefore, of the 15 men, only 7 survived.
Yeah.
That second lifeboat was never heard of again. And on the 25th of May, your father came ashore in the Seychelles.
Yeah, definitely. It's some journey in a life raft, over 15,000 miles.
Extraordinary.
Definitely.
It was actually in total 58 days
58
at sea.
days, was it? Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely amazing.
There was obviously recognition of what your father did to have received the British Empire Medal. So we're going to jump now to 1947, and you'll see this letter is from King George to your father, a message from His Majesty the King. Has been graciously pleased to award you the Medal of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire in recognition of your outstanding courage after the MV Tulagi had been torpedoed in the Indian Ocean.
It's amazing. To actually get a personal letter from the King. Wow. Speechless. I just wish you would have told me this when he was alive.
Heartiest congratulations, as it says at the end.
Yeah, so, very proud moment.
You were keen to find out a bit more about your dad. Your father was, in fact, married in 1947.
Oh, right, okay.
The marriage didn't last, but by the early 50s, he got married again. I'm going to show you now the Australian immigration record from the early 1950s. His wife is, by this stage, with child. So you have a half-sister in Australia, or at least a girl who began her life in Australia.
Oh, no, I didn't know anything about that. That's a very big shock and surprise, nice surprise.
We know that by 1961, he was in England.
Yeah.
And by now, married to your mother.
Yeah.
So a totally new life.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Am I right in believing, Peter, that all photos of your father, Ali Sarawi, were lost?
They were lost, yeah. Yeah, lost by my family. We don't know where they went to or know where they've gone.
Well, we did an extensive search. We knew he was a seaman, obviously, in the Merchant Navy during the war. And I wonder if you recognise this man.
Yeah, it's my dad, yeah. To actually see him there again, amazing.
Thank you, Peter. It was an extraordinary story, your father's.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the information. You know, a nice new photograph as well of him. Thank you.
Peter, your dad was quite the man, wasn't he?
Oh, it certainly was. To find out all that information about him, which I've never known before, it's absolutely amazing. When he received a letter from King George himself, that was an amazing letter to read.
That really touched you when you saw that letter, didn't it? Why was that?
It just made me feel proud. Not many people can say they got personal letters from the King to say what a hero he was. And I know that's something to be very proud of. And I'll be hoping to pass that on to my son when he's older, so he never forget about his granddad. So many positive things, knowing that he saved the lives of these 7 guys, knowing that he was valued.
What was it like when you saw that picture of your dad today?
That was a very big moment. I've not seen a picture from my dad since I can remember when, when he passed away. So actually seeing that picture, it was absolutely beautiful. It was nice to see what he looked like a cheeky chappy on that picture, but, it was lovely to see.
If he was alive today, what would you say to him?
I'd probably give him a big up, tell him how proud I am of him and how much I miss him.
Peter, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me and thank you for finding out his life story. It's amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
God, sorry, it's made you so emotional, but...
In a nice way, in a happy way.
In a nice way.
Definitely, in a happy way.
We're at King's Western House in Bristol, a historic manor house in Somerset, where people from all over the UK have been gathering, eager to have their questions answered. We've been overwhelmed by the sheer number of people wanting to meet the experts to try to solve secrets in their family's past.
Our surname is Ecott, and we've never met another Ecott. We don't know anything about the surname, so we're here today to try and find out a bit more.
Rumour is that my grandmother was a land girl who had a fling with a wealthy landowner, and my father was the result, and so he was adopted, and I'd like to find out more about the grandparents.
And getting ready to tackle today's family mysteries, our team of experts. Genetic genealogist Brad Argent will be revealing the results of a DNA test that could rewrite one family story forever.
So your family's just got a lot bigger.
Wow.
Historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia solves the mystery behind one man's ancestor with some surprising news.
Fraudster. Dear, oh dear.
But his survivor too.
And preparing to search for a celebrity connection is historian and writer Tessa Dunlop. Am I related to someone famous? It's one of the top questions that people ask us. Well, Tiffany Teasdale has heard stories in her family about connections to one of the world's biggest music stars. So, is she related to the Rocket Man, or will we go breaking her heart?
My grandmother's maiden name was Dwight, so there was always a little question in the family as to whether she was possibly related to Reginald Dwight of Elton John. I'm Tiffany Teasdale. I've got 2 children, and we all live in Godalming. When we were growing up, if Elton John came on the TV, then my dad always used to joke that he was our family. What I discovered was that my grandmother was born in Paddington, so she was born in London, but if you go back further along the line, that her family originate from Buckinghamshire, and we discovered as well that Elton John's family also originated from Buckinghamshire before they came to London. So it was the fact that they had the location in common and the surname in common just made us want to have a little bit of a further investigation into it. I've gone back sort of as far as you can, as far as births, deaths and marriage certificates are concerned, but I haven't been able to go back any further than that. I think if my grandmother knew that we were looking into all of this, I think if she was still here now with us, she'd be laughing and enjoying the research. So as she's not, it's just a nice opportunity to do this in her memory and see if there was a link to Elton John at the end of the day.
So, Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And you've got your dad with you, Brian.
I have.
And the aim is apparently to somehow genetically link you to the Rocket Man.
Possibly.
None other than Elton Hercules John CBE.
Oh, well done.
Otherwise known as Reginald Kenneth Dwight.
Yes.
Yeah. You mentioned your beloved late grandmother, Phyllis. So here's Phyllis, and we're going to flip up a couple of generations to your great-great-grandfather, so Phyllis's grandfather. Now, you thought there was a Buckinghamshire link.
We found that Phyllis's family came from the Buckinghamshire area, and we'd also heard that Elton John's family also came from sort of a similar area, Chesham.
OK, well, let's have a look. We're going to delve back in time. There's an affection for the name William, a fair few boys, keeping that Dwight surname, which helps us, of course, link back generation to generation. So what we have here is a David Dwight married to a Sarah. David would be your 4 times removed grandfather.
Goodness me.
OK?
OK.
But we don't have the ancestral connection we need to Elton John's family.
Oh, OK.
OK? However, the Brits were great bookkeepers.
Right.
So let's hope, fingers crossed, we can go further back.
OK.
And indeed, we can. We are time-travelling all the way back to the beginning of the 18th century. Come on, Brian, how's your history? What's happening this morning?
Even I wasn't born there.
Staggering. There's another William, 2 more Williams, in fact. So William Dwight, 7 times your great-grandfather.
Goodness me.
We're talking 300+ years ago. It was a terrific era. The theatrical, the costumes, the aesthetic was all important. These are the pleasure gardens in Chelsea. You know, you can swish along, listen to a little bit of operetta in an auditorium, enjoy a powdered wig. And I think you will agree, a place where Elton John would have been just...
He would have fitted perfectly, wouldn't he? Exactly.
So at home. I think he's wasted, frankly, in the 21st century.
Oh, my goodness. He was born in the wrong time, wasn't he?
Yeah. It would be, therefore, a delight if we could place you and Elton with common ancestry in this era. It would be too good to be true. Life doesn't always work like that.
No.
We're with William Dwight, born in 1714. He marries an Elizabeth Sills. But what we require of Elizabeth and William is more progeny. Did Elizabeth have any more offspring?
OK.
Because if this is, if you like, one railway track, we need them to throw out another line to link us to Elton. Oh. Let's have a look. William Dwight and Elizabeth Sills have William in 1743, and 7 years later, they have a Robert. So William has a brother called Robert.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, if we stick with Robert's line, we're going to take you to Edwin Dwight, who we can place in a place called Chesham.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow.
Can you guess where I'm taking you?
I don't want to get too excited.
Hold a hand, Dad.
Oh, my gosh.
Do we think that Edwin might have had grandchildren? I mean, what do we think the chances are here?
I'm really hoping.
I think you were a pretty fertile lot, weren't you, for goodness sake? Let's have a look. Dun, dun, dun!
Goodness, we are actually related to him. That's incredible. Oh, wow, thank you so much. My God. That's amazing.
Mum would be very pleased.
She will. She would be chuffed a bit, wouldn't she?
Would be.
We think you are Sir Elton John's 6th cousin twice removed.
Oh, my goodness. That's incredible.
I'll get much closer than that.
No. I think call him in for Christmas.
Absolutely. Oh, that's amazing.
Maybe just stick with cousins.
Yeah, that's easier. Oh, that's brilliant.
Excellent work.
Thank you for coming in.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Lovely.
So I believe I'm with the family of Elton John.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sort of.
Yes, there is a connection.
Yeah, well, what's that like? Now you actually know.
Well, it's amazing, actually. Yeah, it's really exciting to know that after all this time, because it could have easily gone either way.
It's one of the things we've talked about in the family and joked about within the family, well, forever. To suddenly find out like that. It's good, it's great, it's a great show.
You know, we used to dine out on the story as a bit of a laugh, but now we can say...
Now it's a guarantee.
A bit more confidence now, can't we?
I'll be taking the video around with me of this programme. For anybody who questions it...
Obviously, we got proof.
Your nanny, Phyllis, your mum, is no longer here, sadly. But what do you think she'd be feeling about all this?
Well, Mum has got this really lovely smile. And unusually, she's got dimples on her cheeks. The broader the smile, the deeper the dimples became. So I should imagine there's some pretty deep dimples.
I'd imagine you're going home saying, is there any family resemblance here? Looking in the mirror.
Exactly.
Yeah, look a bit like him. Got any musical talent among you?
Oh, yes.
Yep. Who's the musician among you? Maddie. Really?
Just a little bit of guitar and we sing a little bit.
Oh, okay.
She's modest.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been great. Thank you.
So it's official. Tiffany Teasdale is related to Sir Elton John. A case well and truly solved. And so to our next family secret and a bittersweet story. 4 in 10 marriages end in divorce, sometimes in a matter of months. But 80 years ago, the laws were very different. They discriminated against women and were quite complex. Former British triathlete Karen Rogers from Bournemouth wants to find out more about a scandalous affair and a broken family.
My name is Karen. I live in Bournemouth. I'm a former GB triathlete and also had the honour of carrying the Olympic torch. I would like to find out more about my father's side of the family. His mother was a lady called Myra Annette Groves. She had 2 children, my Uncle Ray, and then 2 years later, my father David. So the story in the family is that Myra had an affair with a member of the clergy. Given that this was back in the 1930s, it was quite scandalous in its day and made the national newspapers. As a result of my grandmother's affair, the boys were fostered and then ended up in a children's home. There was no contact with their mother after that date, and their father emigrated to New Zealand. My father became very poorly. He contracted pneumonia when he was in the home and was left with a weakness in his chest, and he was a chronic bronchitic, which resulted in him having emphysema, which culminated in him having a heart attack and dying when I was... Sorry. I've not said it out loud before. When I was 18. I just want to know what sort of woman she was. What kind of woman would put her own needs in front of those of her 2 young children? It would be really lovely to just sort of draw a line under it once and for all, rather than just having this thing nagging away, just wondering about the past, what happened.
Karen and your mother, Lee, thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I can tell from the get-go this is a very emotional journey.
Yeah, yes.
Your late father, your husband,
yeah.
and his mother, Myra. Here we have Myra married to Frank, so that's your grandfather. And here we have the 2 brothers,
2 boys,
Raymond a bit older, and your father, David. To date, what do you feel you know?
What I've been led to believe is that Myra had an affair with a member of the high clergy, and
it was quite, I believe, quite scandalous.
Hugely.
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
30s.
Yes.
It certainly would be.
We know that my father and his brother were put into care, ultimately ending up in Liverpool, which is where Mum and Dad met.
Did he confide in you, talk about his past?
No. He didn't. Obviously very reluctant to speak about their parents.
The good news is we found a lot of documents relating to your grandparents. We can find your grandmother, Myra, in 1930, thanks to the Electoral Register.
OK, right.
And you can see she's living in Wembley, North London.
That's interesting.
Yes, because we thought they lived in Ascot. So they obviously split up very early on in the marriage then.
It's clear from this that she's not living with Frank, her husband.
Oh,
interesting.
But I think this next piece of information will prove surprising.
Oh.
Here we have a petition for a divorce. Myra Annette Groves is petitioning to divorce Frank.
Oh.
A lot of this has been redacted, but you can see the crucial point. Here we have the humble petition of Myra claiming that the respondent has frequently committed adultery.
Oh.
So she's arguing that Frank is an adulterer.
Interesting.
Oh.
She's filed for divorce, not him.
Yeah.
That's the total turnaround.
I can't stress enough just how difficult it was for a woman to get a divorce then. There was a slight change in the law in the 1920s, but the odds were stacked against a woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was weighted in favour of the man. A few months later, what do we have here? Now, what's Frank doing?
OK.
Frank...
So he's filing for divorce now.
And redacted here, we know that the man he is accusing of adultery with his wife was indeed a man of the cloth, a reverend.
Oh, so that's true.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The problem is, if both sides of the couple were saying the other was an adulterer, you were less likely to get a divorce. Let's have a look at what happens next. If I could just focus you here on this line, the two children were removed from the mother and given into custody of the father by order of court at Windsor, 1933.
Well, I heard that Frank got custody because I thought, well, that must have been very unusual in those days.
That's where you're wrong. And that's how fast things have changed in the last century. Until 1925, custody of children over 7 was automatically granted to the father.
Gosh. Oh, that's interesting.
And it wasn't until the 70s that women had an equal say or an equal weighting in matters of custody. Culturally and legally, things are still weighted in Frank, the father's favour at this stage. The law changes in 25, but things take a while to catch up on the ground. So we know that the court's found in favour of Frank, but now he's saying he's not in a position to look after the two boys.
Hence them going into care. Gosh.
Let's read on down. Note, applicant does not wish the mother to know of the steps he is taking.
Wow.
Oh.
Legally, she was effectively cut out.
Yeah. That's shocking. Wow. So, all contact severed.
Yeah. Sheds a whole new light on this picture, really, doesn't it?
Yes. Actually, now, perhaps that's actually a picture of a loving mother with her boys.
We're going to now return to the divorce petition belonging to Frank. He writes, of the said marriage, his wife of the said marriage, is now living with 2 children, namely your Uncle Raymond, David John, your father, and a female child.
No.
Oh.
Born on the 5th of April, 1933. Crucially, paternity whereof is an issue.
Whoops.
So that suggests that the vicar in question was offering more than just tea and sympathy.
Gosh, she was quite a lady.
Good Lord.
My goodness. So,
the boys had a little sister.
And I've got an auntie that I've never known about.
Yeah.
My goodness. Wow.
This gets better and better. In a way.
Yeah. Let's take you on to the final stepping stone if I may.
Yes.
What we have here is Myra's death certificate in Berkshire, 1993.
Gosh.
What's interesting is the person with her at the time of her death.
Oh, was her daughter?
Was her daughter.
My goodness. So she had her daughter by her side for hopefully in her life, really.
Yes, good.
Given that she didn't have the boys, she had.
Yeah, she had
something.
one of her children with her.
Which is nice. Her daughter may still be alive.
I can tell you that she was at a registered address and still alive in the 2017 electoral register.
Gosh.
So.
Oh, golly.
It's a possible next step for you.
Yeah, definitely. That would be amazing. If she knows anything about her brothers, of course.
She'll be able to let you know a bit more about Myra.
Yeah,
possibly.
absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's fascinating. That's fantastic. Gosh. Thank you.
Thank you.
I always thought that Myra didn't want her sons, and the truth appears to be very different. And also the big shocker is that they had a sister or a half-sister, and I have an aunt out there that, you know, perhaps I could have got to know over the years.
You take care.
Oh,
Safe journey.
You know, we can now explore my auntie, and you know, and who knows what it's going to bring. So it's very positive because, from being a family of 4, suddenly we might be a huge family.
Yeah,
so it's great.
We're so pleased to have solved this for Karen and her mum Lee, not to mention the wonderful surprise of an extended family. Next up, our genetic genealogist Brad Argent is getting to the bottom of a family mystery using DNA. Tyrone Carvalho came to live in Britain from his native home in Brazil. But he's unsure if that's where his family history actually begins.
So my uncle used to say that his grandmother was from a Portuguese background and potentially her husband was from a slave background. So I want to find out if that's true. So I had the DNA test done and I hope that I can find out where my family came from.
Welcome, Tyrone.
Thank you.
So were your parents born in Brazil?
Yeah, my parents born in Brazil, but I don't know where my great-grandparents came from.
You mentioned the connection with Portugal.
Yes.
So we got you to take a DNA test. Now, I have the results of the DNA test.
Oh.
And they tell a very interesting story.
Really?
No, yes. So let's start with the big question. Are you Portuguese?
I don't know.
When we look at your DNA results, 28% of you is from the Iberian Peninsula.
Wow.
And that is part of the Portuguese migration to Brazil. So a good chunk of you, more than a quarter of you, is from Portugal.
Wow.
Not only are you from Portugal, you're also Native American. I'm almost certain where you get your Native American from. The Tupi people, right? These are the native inhabitants of the area of Brazil. They sort of came up from the Amazon basin about 3,000 years before the Portuguese arrived. So you're not only Portuguese, right? You're also native Brazilian, if you like. And then look at this, all this grouping in Africa. That's evidence of slave ancestry. But you've also got Italy and Greece.
Italy and Greece?
Yeah. There's also the Caucasus in there. There's Central Asia in there. There's Western European in there.
Wow.
Right? There's Great Britain in there. There's Scandinavian in there. But there's still a little bit that I haven't told you.
Really?
Well, one of the things that happens when you take a DNA test is we connect you with other people that have already taken a DNA test. And you have 44 fourth cousins or closer.
Really?
Yeah. Now, do you know what a fourth cousin is?
No.
That means you share a great-great-grandparent in common. And some of these people have Portuguese names, and some of them have English names. But all of them are related to you.
Really?
So your family's just got a lot bigger.
Wow. That's really exciting. This is great news. I didn't know. I thought there was somebody out there, but I didn't know there was so many.
Thank you very much, Torrin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is really exciting. It's changed everything.
You said this changes everything. What did you mean?
It's really exciting. I don't even know how to start. There's going to be so much to research now.
You came here wanting to know whether you were Portuguese.
Yeah, where the family starts, I didn't know was so big. The mixture was not only from Portugal, it's from everywhere. I got a bigger family out there that no one in Brazil knows. So it'll be amazing to connect back to them.
You have so many relatives who don't know about you. How's that conversation going to even start? What would you say to them?
I'm here.
Hello, I'm your long-lost family.
Yeah, I've been looking for you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
We're meeting a citizen of the world.
Yeah.
It's a great result for Tyrone. Thanks to his DNA, he not only knows where his family began, he also knows it's a whole lot bigger than he thought.
He saved an officer's life in no man's land.
This is my family tree.
And at the top of the tree is my 4 times removed great-grandfather.
This, I believe, is my grandfather. What I'm trying to find out is what happened to him.
19th century Britain chose to rid itself of its undesirables by packing them into ships and sending them to colonies on the other side of the world. It was a cheap alternative to prison, with only the fare to pay. Well, Christopher James from Devon has discovered that his ancestor was transported to Tasmania, and he wants to know why.
My name is Christopher James. I'm a retired clockmaker, and I live in North Devon. When I was in my 60s, my father handed me my great-grandfather's indentures, the piece of paper that assigned him to an apprenticeship. And it informs me that my great-great-grandfather, William James, was transported beyond the seas for some felony. He served his sentence on Van Diemen's Land, Tasmania, but that's only hearsay. I have no evidence. The family story is that he was a tenant farmer somewhere in Leicestershire, Derbyshire, and that he bought some sheep which turned out to be stolen. And so he was probably charged with receiving stolen goods. I'm anxious to know what happened to him, what happened to his wife. Was she made homeless? What happened to her eventually?
Welcome, Christopher.
Thank you.
We understand that you've got something that's been passed on to you that prompted you to begin your research of your family history.
Indeed, I have. I have my great-grandfather's indentures, which indicate that my great-great-grandfather was transported beyond the seas.
How easy would it have been for your great-great-grandmother to cope with this?
Well, this is what's niggling me, really. The story goes that they were tenant farmers.
Yes.
I'm beginning to think that she probably lost the tenancy when she lost her husband.
There was a census in 1851.
Right.
In that census, the mother appears destitute.
Oh, dear.
She lived in poverty.
Gosh.
The indenture was probably the thing that kept her going, the money that she received.
Do we know what became of her?
Not too much. But we do know what happened to your great-great-grandfather.
Oh, really?
This is the 1841 census.
Right.
That was carried out throughout Britain. Do you notice your
I see his name there, William James.
Right.
A coal carrier. So he wasn't a farmer at all, he was a coal carrier.
What you see there is a record of everybody that was tried in Leicester for criminal offences. Do you notice your ancestor?
There he is, William James.
Right.
His age is 40.
Yes. And do you see what the offence is?
Fraud.
Yes.
Not receiving stolen goods. Gosh. Oh, dear.
On the second page, it says sentences, and it begins with death. The next one on, the next punishment on, is transportation. So William James was sentenced to 7 years transportation.
Right.
Now, when we think of anywhere in Oceania, which includes Australia or Tasmania or New Zealand, as, you know, getting on an airplane and flying out there, we don't have the sense of horror, but this might shed some light on it.
As Britain forged ahead in the Industrial Revolution of the 17th and 18th centuries, many people were still facing extreme poverty. In desperation, some turned to petty crime. But dealing with these criminals was a problem. Their offences didn't warrant a death sentence, but with already overcrowded prisons, a new solution was called for. Transportation was that solution. Floating prison ships were initially introduced, old Royal Navy vessels anchored along the coast of Britain. But in 1784, these great prison hulks were given the green light to lift anchor and take their prisoners overseas to the other side of the world. By 1788, 11 convict ships had arrived in Australia, docking in New South Wales. The list of penal colonies would later grow to include Van Diemen's Land, present-day Tasmania, Queensland, and Western Australia. It was a voyage that could take as long as 6 months and cover 16,000 miles, and life for those on board was far from easy. The unhygienic conditions led to the spread of diseases like typhus, cholera, and tuberculosis. How ironic that many who had escaped the death sentence in Britain should succumb to a potentially deadly disease. Life on board was cramped, harsh, and brutal.
Gosh. Oh, that poor fella.
The prison ship that he was on was known as the Hashemi. And this ship was dispatched with 239 prisoners. Now, on that ship, unfortunately, over 193 cases of cholera broke out. Over 193.
That's over two-thirds.
That's over two-thirds. But your ancestor
pulled through.
What does that tell you?
He was a tough old bird.
Then the Hashemi got to Australia, but the ship was not allowed to dock. The general population had been whipped up to a frenzy.
Oh, really?
The Sydney Herald on the 11th of June reported that the population had refused and stopped the ship from docking.
From docking.
Because they had, in fact, been orchestrating a campaign, a whipped-up hysteria against convicts, saying that we don't want any more.
So what on earth happened to them?
So the ship stayed in dock for a period of time.
Right.
And they couldn't disembark. This is with cholera.
Yeah, did he die on board?
Your ancestor survived that too.
Did he really?
And eventually, he got his ticket of leave.
How extraordinary.
So he got his access to the mainland.
To the mainland. So he didn't serve penance in Van Diemen's Land?
No, he got his...
He went straight to the mainland.
And this is a copy of the ticket to leave. You see his name is written there?
Yes. What's this saying on the side? Cancelled?
Well, one of the conditions attached to the ticket of leave was that a convict must, for the duration of his sentence, regularly report to the authorities. But it appears that William didn't turn up for his roll call and likely made a bid for freedom.
He's a real fraudster, peddler. Dear, oh dear.
But he's a survivor too.
Well, yes, indeed.
A survivor.
He's already done his penance on that ship, hasn't he?
Yes, he's done his penance on his ship. So I want to thank you, Christopher, for sharing your story.
It's been a fascinating journey. And thank you. Bless you.
So your great-great-grandfather was a conman?
Yes, fraudster.
A fraudster?
And we were led to believe he was an innocent tenant farmer who mistakenly bought some stolen sheep.
What do you think about that?
It's extraordinary, but he was a survivor. My goodness, he was a survivor. That journey out is heartbreaking.
You came here feeling there was a real blank hole in your family history. Do you go away feeling as though it's been filled?
Oh, indeed I do, yes. It's been gratifying to journey through.
Good. I'm glad we've been able to do it. Christopher, thank you very much. I'm really glad that you found some answers.
Bless you. It's been a lovely journey. Thank you.
It's so rewarding to help Christopher and all our visitors in Bristol understand more about who they are and where they came from. David Gilbert has traced nearly all his family tree, but there's one key person that's left him stumped. David's on a quest to find his grandfather's brother, Percy William Coleman, who became estranged from the family and then disappeared in 1913.
My name is Dave Gilbert. I have 3 children, and my day job is a delivery driver. About 7 years ago, I found the family Bible that Mum had got stored away in the attic. A list of all the births and deaths of the family were recorded. I was astounded to find that there was somebody called Percy that I never knew existed. My grandfather, Luke, was the youngest. He was born in 1900. There was Arthur, Chris, Albert, and Percy was named as the first son. He was born in 1880. The only person that I could ask about the name was my mother, and as far as she was concerned, her father had 3 brothers, and Percy's name was never mentioned. She was as astounded as the rest of us. The only information that we've got is a letter that he wrote to his mother in about 1913. He says it's 7 years since my troubles began. What does he mean by troubles? We just do not know what happened to him.
David, welcome.
Hi, Brad. All right.
Percy, this missing part of your family. Wonderful portraiture here of Percy's brothers, but Percy goes missing. We know he's born in 1880.
Yes.
Right? And then the last contact that he has with the family is in 1913, in this letter that he's written to his mum just before Christmas in 1913. What was the nature of the letter?
He was basically apologising for not contacting them sooner. The letter itself left so many unanswered questions in that he seemed to owe money. He apologised that he'd not been in touch, but he'd been unwell, possibly planned to go to Canada to emigrate, and really he didn't seem to want anybody to know where he was, and that's the last that, as far as I'm aware, the family had any contact with him.
So he just kind of disappears from history?
That's right, that's right.
Let's have a look at your family tree so we can kind of get some context around this.
Yeah.
Right. Here you are down the bottom, David. And then we can see, going back up through the Coleman line, we have a question mark around Percy.
Percy, his history stops, as far as we're concerned, in 1913 with that letter, and we don't know whether he partook in the war or what became of him after that.
We know from the 1911 census that he was working in insurance. This was around the time that he'd sent the letter to your mother. Right? He was an insurance agent, right, yeah, going around and collecting insurance payments. When the war broke out, 1914, Percy would have been 34 years old.
Yeah.
So not a young man, but young enough to serve.
Yeah.
One of the struggles we have with some of the First World War records is that a lot of them were, oddly, destroyed during the Second World War. So we have to rely on records relating to medals.
Right.
So we've had a bit of a look. And what you'll be pleased to know is that it's highly likely all of the brothers served in the war. Because here is a medal record. So we think we've found evidence here. Percy W. Coleman here, getting a medal.
Good, good.
So here we are now at the end of the war. It's 1919. When we look in the records, suddenly we hit something of a gap. We have the 1921 census, but we can't access that for a few more years. That's locked away. So there is this massive gap. Fast forward to the outbreak of the Second World War. The government does this register right? They actually want to do a stock take of who is in the country at that time.
Yeah.
And so it becomes, if you like, a de facto census for that period. And when we look at that, we can see in this record, Percy Coleman, 3 Westbourne Gardens.
Right.
Percy W. Coleman, 14th of October, 1880.
And hotel door porter.
He's a hotel door porter.
Yeah.
But just sit next to that, right?
M.
And that means?
Married.
Indeed.
Yep.
So here he is, right? 1939, and he's a hotel porter. And what happens next? It's 1943. Percy dies.
Exhaustion.
Exhaustion and carcinoma of the pancreas. So pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
And if you look, an informant is actually another person living in the boarding house.
Right.
So it's not his wife. So what we're able to tell about Percy, those missing years, he probably served in the war. And then he fades away from the records. But he pops up in 1939, working as a hotel porter in Paddington, and then 4 years later, he's dead.
Yeah.
But he married.
Yeah, where would the record of the marriage be?
Your homework, if you like, is to find that.
Right.
And when you look back at Percy's life, it doesn't sound like it was an easy life. He didn't go to Canada, like you suspected, and like he thought he wanted to.
Yeah.
He stayed in London. And he lived in London, and he died in London. But it's not a sad story. And it's not a sad story because he became alive again, because you remembered him. And now you've got a job to keep remembering Percy.
I will. I certainly will. That gives me some work to do. I'd be very pleased to find a marriage and find out if there were any children or whether I have any cousins that I don't know about.
Percy will not be forgotten.
He certainly won't. Thank you, Barrett.
Thank you, Dave.
All right.
So, as far as you know from today, Percy was a good egg and not a bad man.
That's right. That's right. That was what I always feared, that he'd had problems in the past. Did he get over them, or did they bring him down? And he got over them. Good for Percy.
Good for Percy.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a nice thing to go. Welcome to Cape Thorne Hall, a historic stately home in Macclesfield in Cheshire, where people from all over the UK have been flocking to have their questions answered. We've been overwhelmed by people getting in touch, all eager to solve the secrets in their families' pasts.
I'm here to try and trace my great-uncle's military medal.
I'm trying to find some information on my grandfather.
Just started tracing my family tree and not found anything exciting as yet, so hoping to get some tips on how to do that.
Getting ready to tackle today's family mysteries, our team of experts.
He certainly seems to be the rogue.
An impressive constitution in your family tree.
Right. Ancestry DNA expert Brad Argent looks into a wartime romance between one guest's grandmother and a Polish prince.
We can see something in here. She was 7 months pregnant. 2 months later, your mum was born.
Could have cried, I need to stop.
And historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia will be taking to the high seas to help one guest find out about a grandfather she never knew.
We came across this.
Wow. But first, preparing to help one visitor solve a long-standing family mystery is writer and historian Tessa Dunlop. After the First World War, the government made special bronze plaques, or widow's pennies, to commemorate those who had lost their lives. They were intended to give to close family so that they had something to remember their loved ones by. Alan Boardman from Manchester is on a quest to find one of these widow's pennies, which is missing from his family.
Well, my name's Alan William Boardman. I'm 62 years of age. I've always lived in Manchester and probably always will. When I accompanied my dad to the Clayton Cenotaph, he showed me 3 names: Archie Birch, William Birch and Cornelius Birch, who were my great-uncles that I absolutely didn't know anything about. The Birch family had 5 brothers and 7 sisters. 3 brothers go off to war and are killed just like him, Saving Private Ryan. To lose 3 brothers in the First World War is just unbelievable. I inherited 2 widow's pennies, or death plaques, or dead man's pennies, that's sometimes known. But William Birch's was actually missing. The other 2 had been passed down from his mother, Mary Ann Birch. So I just put 2 and 2 together. I thought, well, it's called a widow's penny, so his widow must have the penny. But when I started asking the family, did William Birch actually have a wife? I don't think so was the answer. So when I started to research into it, I found a record card which actually showed William Birch Jr. and his mother, Jessie O'Brien. It turns out that William Birch has a fling or a passionate affair. He gets Jessie O'Brien pregnant with his son, William Birch. He's gone off to war, and was there a possibility that William knew his newborn son, William Birch Jr., before he goes off to war? I don't know. I really want to know where that widow's penny gone. Had it gone to Jessie O'Brien, this would mean more to me than actually winning the lottery.
Alan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And an incredibly moving story, and etched there forever on your local cenotaph, the absence of 3 vital young men.
Yes, indeed, yes.
How well known was this story, or was the loss kind of buried?
I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about it. I didn't even know the Birch family existed, even though my grandmother, maiden name, was Birch. So it just didn't, the 2 didn't come together.
Because they are, in fact, your great uncles. These are your grandmother's brothers.
Correct, yes.
So, within tickling distance, you would have known them, very possibly.
Absolutely, walking distance, absolutely.
Yeah. And there they are. And, of course, these cenotaphs sprang up throughout the 1920s. I think the one in Whitehall was initially a temporary structure, and such was the outpouring of national grief that they became permanent and made of stone.
Yes.
And rightly so.
Yes.
Let's focus. So there are 3 brothers who died within a matter of months. Let's focus first on the 2 that you do know about for sure, that you have the bronze memorial plaques, the widow's pennies, there in that envelope. Cornelius was 22.
Correct.
And Archie was just 19.
Yes.
They die in 1918.
Yes.
During the German Spring Offensive. And as a result, their mother receives the widow's pennies.
Yes.
But there has never been one for William, who in fact died sooner, didn't he?
He did, yes. He was the first to be killed in action.
Let's check out William. He's with the hat and the pipe.
Yes.
He looks like a good time kind of guy, actually.
He does. He looks a really well-built guy, doesn't he?
You wouldn't want to meet him, would
No.
you, in any offensive? And here is William on his way to war. We don't have a service record, but we do know that he dies in the Battle of Passchendaele.
Yes.
In 1917. So the first of the 3 brothers to die.
Wow.
And it was a gruesome, the Battle of Mud, as it's known. But let's just focus at the moment with that missing widow's penny.
Yes.
Now, there is no military service record, which might have helped us work out where the penny went.
Yeah.
But you did tell us of William's vital other life with Jessie O'Brien. The fling, I think, as you referred to it.
Yes, because nobody in the family seems to have known anything about this at all.
Well, let's have a little look at the birth certificate of the son of William Birch, so William Birch Jr. What's interesting here is William is named as the father.
Yes.
So clearly the relationship was a significant one, because often at the time, an illegitimate child, you'd just see a dash for the father, and the child would be given the maiden name of the mother. We can go one step further. What has been actually marshalled by the government are soldiers' wills, the soldiers' wills collection. And alongside William Birch's will was a covering letter. It is written by a William Frederick Wisden. It's witnessed by a clergyman, Walter Hibbert, in Manchester. And if you look at the date, it's May 1917. And this letter is dictated by your great-uncle, which means he was alive and in Manchester in early, or at least in spring, 1917.
I have all my belongings to my unmarried wife and children.
There you are.
Children. Doesn't say child, he says children.
Well, he may have expected to have another.
Yes, of course, yes.
In those days, you didn't often stop at one.
No.
But the other thing is, of course, this means that he did see his son, because he's in Manchester in 1917, and we know that baby William's born the year before.
Where have you got this from?
As I say, it's from the Wills collection.
That's fantastic. Wow.
So I think from that, I take this is the beginning of a meaningful relationship. They intend to go on and have a full and happy family life. And he's making sure that Jessie and his children aren't left destitute.
I'm pleased to hear that.
I think we can take as a given that Jessie, if she received pay, gratuity and all his belongings, she would have also received the widow's penny.
I was hoping that the widow's penny would have been passed down to the family and everything. That's where it belongs.
Indeed. We can't give you the original, but we have made you a replica because we felt that William Birch deserved that.
Oh, wow. Oh.
It's a bit shiny. Leave it out in the rain.
For 100 years. That's brilliant, that. I can't thank you enough. That's superb.
To be honest, Alan, for bringing this story to us, and a reminder that, you know, lest we dare lionize war, actually the cost of war, you know, and personally, to your family, the cost of war. It's just, it's very poignant and powerful, and we can't thank you enough.
One of my cousins said to me, if you can speak their name, they will never die. And here they are, William Birch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan, you have your 3 widows' pennies, so they're all reunited now.
I wanted to make them live again. And for me, the way of doing that, these represented their souls. And to have the 3 back together just means they're back alive, in spirit.
And what's lovely is that William Birch's penny probably went to Jessie. So it went to the right person in the end.
Absolutely. I really, truly hope that they're descendants of Jessie O'Brien and William Birch have got the widow's penny. Something that I hope that they are treasuring just as much as I'm treasuring what I've got now.
What would you say to anyone watching who might know about it?
If they are watching, please get in touch with the programme, who will get in touch with me. I'd dearly love to speak to you.
Alan finally has the answers about his great-uncle and now knows that William's widow's penny most likely went to the right person. Coming up, Brad reveals whether one woman's grandfather really is a Polish prince.
The social history backs up the possibility that that could have occurred. So we needed to turn to DNA.
And another hears how her grandfather mixed in the highest of circles.
It's quite possible that your grandfather would have met King George VI, the Queen Mother.
Next up, Brad helps Richard Kendrick find out why his great-great-grandfather fled to South America.
Rich, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So what brings you here today?
I'm looking into a family mystery, the character of George William Turner, my great-great-grandfather. There's been a lot of supposition and black legend about what he got up to. My great-grandmother, his daughter, Georgina Florence Turner, was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The reason she was born there, her father had to go to Buenos Aires for some reason. From what I can find, he got involved in an incident in Liverpool in the late 1880s with a lawyer.
So this lawyer was Harry Sidney Reynolds?
Correct.
And, you know, whilst it was difficult to sort of find a whole lot of information on your great-great-grandfather, George William Turner, at that time, Mr. Reynolds pops up on more than one occasion. Now, the little bit of research I did on him, he's something of a rogue. I think he was fined like £500 or something for breaking a promise. That he was going to marry some woman and let her down. And then you see him shortly after this potential scandal involving your great-great-grandfather being struck off as a solicitor and doing 12 years in prison. So to be in that situation where he was associated with this man, it must have cast a shadow on the family.
I do feel he was the unwitting pawn in this sorry tale.
Yeah. We actually had someone on the ground in Argentina, and we got them to do as much research as we could. They were tantalising bits of information. We couldn't find a passenger record for George, but we found one for what we think is his wife. Now, his wife's name...
His wife was Eleanor Turner.
Yeah, they might all be travelling just under her name to kind of keep a low profile.
Because of his reputation. He certainly wouldn't want to advertise his name.
Yeah, so when it comes to your great-grandmother, when she's born, we know George is alive.
Right.
When she's baptised, he's deceased.
He's deceased.
So we have been able to find a death record. We found a George William Turner in the British hospital in Buenos Aires, dying of typhoid on the 16th of May, 1891, a few months after her birth and shortly before her baptism.
It's just such a tragic end for a guy who was so young.
Look, he's tried to start again, right? He's tried to leave the past behind and make a new life for himself.
Which is very, very brave at that time. At the very least, he supported his family.
He did. And he wanted to begin again.
Thanks for your time.
It's a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
At last, Richard has answers to the story of his great-great-grandfather and learned he was trying to start over with his family in South America. As an island, the sea plays a huge part in our history, from building empire to defending against invaders. Next up is Sarah Weldon from Cumbria. She has a deep connection to the water, and she wants to know whether she's inherited it from her grandfather, who she never knew.
My name is Sarah Weldon. I'm a full-time explorer. I live here in the very beautiful Lake District. As an explorer, I've been to the Amazon jungle. I've spent some time in Georgia, so I've been to the Arctic. For as long as I can remember, I've always loved swimming outdoors all year round. No matter what the weather, I'm in the water. I have a real sense that water's in my DNA and exploration is in my DNA, and I'd love to know where that comes from. The only person I can think of who has similar kind of interest to me is my grandfather. As far as I know, he was in the Navy, but I don't know if it was the Merchant Navy or the Royal Navy, because my grandfather died when my father was just a young lad. I've got no facts or anything like that, so I'd like to know more about him. It's a bit of a missing piece of the puzzle right now. I don't quite know who I am, so I think to find out my roots will really just fill that gap and help me to have a better sense of who I am.
Sarah's hoping historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia can provide those much-needed answers.
Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you.
So, we understand that you've got an interesting inquiry about your family history.
Yes.
And we also understand that you're a bit of an explorer.
Yes. I'm not sure where it comes from, though, so.
So, where have you been to?
I've been to the Amazon jungle, the Arctic, Georgia, Latvia, Lithuania. Worked in quite a few different jobs, and all of them have led to kind of research projects abroad, such as India. So
you have an adventurous spirit.
Yes.
Perhaps it's inherited.
That's what I'm wondering.
Perhaps not. Perhaps you're just an original. Let's start with your grandfather.
The only thing I know is that his name was Norman. He died when my father was quite young, so he's a real mystery.
Did you do your research under the name of Norman Weldon?
Yes.
OK. There was a reason why you didn't find much.
Ah, now I'm intrigued.
We began to research cases for such a name. Then we came across this.
OK.
This is the gravestone of Cyril Weldon.
Wow.
The Norman is the middle name.
OK. I had no idea he was called Cyril,
Yes.
so that's really nice to have a name now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, taking Cyril Weldon's name, we then looked for Royal Navy records.
Yep.
This is Cyril Weldon's record.
Wow.
And he joined the Royal Navy on the 24th of February, 1943, just a month before his 16th birthday.
Wow.
So that meant that he was actually a boy when he joined.
Yeah.
So because of his age, Cyril Sr., his father, and Agnes, his mother, were required to give permission for their son to join the Navy.
Wow. I didn't even know their names before, so that's something else new.
So we can see on this record that his first training post was on board HMS St. George. It was a training school located in Douglas on the Isle of Man.
OK.
It's difficult to imagine for a young boy of 15, far from home, far from parents. Perhaps he liked it.
Yeah, maybe that's why he joined.
But we don't have his memoirs. But we do have another memoir written by somebody else, who was a young sailor who trained at the same place around the same time as Cyril. He says, on arrival at HMS St. George, we were almost immediately issued with mounds of kit, including a hammock and bedding. Our accommodations were in huts. I think we were approximately 160 boys. Now, one of those 160...
would have been my grandfather.
That's right. One thing I remember at St. George, I was always hungry. We led a very active life. We could never seem to get enough to eat. So they'd be given basic
Especially for the teenagers as well, growing boys.
That's right. You marched no matter what the weather, rain or snow. That was to toughen them up. It's now we find out what direction his career was headed in. He carried on training and progressed to the rating of stores assistant, and he looked after the ship's supplies. It included everything from clothing, hardware, and food, which would have meant that he was responsible for everything that was important on that ship, including rationing.
That's an important job.
It is a very important job. Now, Sarah, you've been all over the world. Well, your grandfather, Cyril's career in the Navy also enabled him to travel, and he was posted overseas, and his posts would take him to the furthest edges of the world. In April 1945, as World War II was reaching its climax, Cyril was posted to 2 Navy bases in New South Wales in Australia.
Wow, that's a long way away.
It's a long way away. He was still only 18 years old. So on the 2nd of September 1945, the same day the Japanese surrendered in World War II, Cyril was posted to the aircraft carrier HMS Implacable. Now, this ship and this fleet was tasked with repatriating Allied prisoners of war. So during the 2 years that Cyril was on this HMS Implacable, he would have travelled to Australia, Canada, United States of America, Hong Kong, and to various parts of the continent of Africa. So, are you starting to get a...
Yeah, I think I know where my exploration routes come from.
Yes. So this is certainly, you're not a one-off.
No.
And that's important to know, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Because you can wonder when you have some skill or some interest, where you get it from.
Yeah, especially connected to the sea as well.
So this is archive footage of a royal visit to HMS Implacable, the same ship your grandfather was on. When King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, toured South Africa. It's quite possible that your grandfather would have met King George VI, the Queen Mother. Your grandfather has led this amazing and incredible life where he's travelled all over the world. And in a way, you are a continuation of that legacy. Your desire to travel, your desire to experience adventure, you're living that out.
Definitely.
And now you can feel confident.
Yes.
That your characteristics, that your abilities...
I can see where they come from.
In a way, I hope that what we've revealed today has helped you to feel more connected to your grandfather.
Definitely. The surname Weldon was always... I never really felt very connected to it because it came from this line of family that I'd never met, that I didn't know anything about, whereas actually now I feel like I can be quite proud of that surname and proud to carry that forward. So that's definitely filled in a very big missing piece.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's just incredible to have that knowledge.
Excellent.
So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I think finding out the news today has really helped me to find out more about my adventurous side, my adventurous spirit. I always wondered where that came from, and I can really see that in Cyril. I think there's definitely a connection there. I think if we met each other today, that's something we would definitely have in common.
Another success story as Sarah finally knows where her love of the water comes from and has that connection with her grandfather she never got the chance to meet.
My surname's Shakespeare, and I'm hoping to find out if I'm related to the William Shakespeare.
I've always been told related to Guy Fawkes.
You said it might be the Lewis line that you're thinking.
Yes,
it could be connected.
yeah.
Well,
So I just came to see if there's any truth to the rumour.
In 1941, more than 500,000 women answered the call up to war, including our future Queen. Susan Newcombe from Devon wants us to uncover a family rumour she heard about her grandmother.
My name is Susan Newcombe. I have 4 children and I live in Northam in Devon. My mum was the oldest of 3 sisters, died about just over 20 years ago. The youngest, my Auntie Jackie, passed away quite a few years ago now, and the middle one is my Auntie Bonnie. When I was about 10, 11 years old, I walked into the living room where my mum and my Auntie Jackie were decorating, and my Auntie Jackie said to my mum, just because you think you're a princess doesn't mean to say you can't get your hands dirty. It wasn't until about 40 years later that I was able to ask my Auntie Jackie what she meant. She said that my nan had had a relationship with a Polish prince during the war, and he might be my mum's father, therefore my granddad. I've had a DNA test and I'm anxious about the results. If the results prove that my granddad isn't my granddad and my mum's father is a Polish prince, although it might be exciting to be related to royalty as such, that brings up mixed feelings, I suppose. I'm not quite sure.
Sue.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So this is your mum and your aunts.
Yeah.
And
my nan.
Your nan.
Yeah.
Alice. So the family story is that there is a possible connection with Polish royalty around the time of the Second World War.
Yes.
Do you know much about her time during the war?
No, she never really discussed it.
Women were able to play a very active part during the Second World War in supporting the troops on the ground, making ammunition, building aircraft, contributing any way they could.
Yeah.
And your granny was one of those people. Alice volunteered to the ATS before the war broke out. And we've actually found her service record.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And it gives us this insight into who she was.
Yeah.
So this is her service record. And I just want to show you down here that the trade on enlistment was a mill worker, and you knew that.
Yeah.
But she was put in there as a cook, right? 21st of February 1939 is when she enlisted in the ATS. But then she was called to colours. Now, do you know what called to colours means?
No.
When the call to colours came, it became part of the army rather than a volunteer. They were given military rank,
Yeah.
right? So she's doing her bit,
Yeah.
right? And she must have been pretty good at what she was doing because you can see here she was a sergeant.
Yeah.
And I want to show you something because I think it gives you an indication of just how important she was to
Yeah.
the process. It made the papers.
Oh, bless.
And it's, you know, here's Sergeant Alice Kershaw, ATS, of Marquis Avenue, Bury, has been awarded a certificate of good service. She was in charge of the cookhouse of an airborne depot before the invasion began. So, you know, they're obviously really pleased with and impressed with the quality of the work that she did. You know, one of the things that we do when we think about the war is we think about, you know, those people on the front, those people in action, those people putting their lives at risk. They're the heroes that come to mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I think we skip over the fact that so many contributed so much behind the scenes to make that a success. And your granny was one of those people.
Oh, I never knew anything about that. Oh, bless her.
So the question sort of springs to mind now. Where does the Polish prince come in?
Yeah.
So do you have any idea where she might have been stationed or where she might have been during that time?
The only place that I know was allegedly was Blackpool at RAF base. That's all I know. But I don't know if that's fact.
Now, she was in the ATS for a long time, almost up to the end of the war, but she had to leave early.
Yeah.
And again, looking at her service record, we can see something in here on her reasons for discharge. Family reasons.
Right.
The family reasons were she was 7 months pregnant. 2 months later, your mum was born. And it's also important to remember, at this time, she was with Francis.
Yes.
Right? We've got to go back to this question mark over the Polish prince.
Yeah.
So let's think about this, all right? We need to see what supporting evidence we can get.
Yeah.
We know Germany invaded Poland, and then about 20,000 Polish people came to Britain ready to sign up, right, and do their bit. But they were all based in Blackpool.
Oh, OK.
So that's an interesting coincidence, don't you think?
Well, yeah, it puts some sort of credence to the family rumours as such.
There's a lovely photo I want to show you, and I think it gives you some insight into the times. You can see here these are Polish Air Force officers. And so there was definitely an interaction between people, dashing young men in their flying machines.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of see where it's come from. And so now we need to go, OK, where's the evidence? When we looked at the service record, there was no evidence that she ever served at Blackpool.
Oh, right.
So we have to sort of start thinking, OK, what are our other avenues? So we needed to turn to DNA. And the way we did that was we DNA tested you and we DNA tested your aunt, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that we did that is because that will enable us to determine if Francis is the father of Bonnie and of Sylvia, your mum.
Yeah.
What we've been able to tell from the DNA is that your aunt, Bonnie, and Sylvia, your mum, share the same father and mother. So Francis and Alice are your grandparents.
Good. I'm going to cry now. You can stop.
It's OK to cry. It's an emotional experience. Now, this doesn't mean that Alice didn't have a passionate affair with a dashing Polish prince.
Yeah.
The social history backs up the possibility that that could have occurred. But what it does tell us and what it confirms for you is Francis and Alice are your grandparents and your mum is resting with her dad.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Relieved, I suppose. But it's good that the story's been told for my nan, and that I know more about it. And I appreciate what she's done during the war.
Sue, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's been a good experience. Emotional, but no, it's been good to find out the truth and get to the bottom of things. Not knowing what part she took during the war just makes you proud.
It's finally case closed for Susan, who can now take great pride in knowing her grandmother's army career and also knows who her grandfather really was. Coming up, can Tessa confirm a Jacobite family connection for one hopeful guest?
Your 3 times removed grandmother and your 4 times removed grandparents, both of them are from a Jacobite stronghold.
Gosh, amazing.
Bonnie Prince Charlie is one of the most romantic figures of our history, with his doomed attempt to take the English crown for Scotland. Christine Neal from Hemel Hempstead wants to find a connection to the young pretender.
Well, the family legend has it that we are related to Bonnie Prince Charlie. I'm Christine Neal, and I'm currently living in Hemel Hempstead. I'm quite obsessed with genealogy. I
spend a lot of time searching, looking for answers. My mother always claimed that we were related to Bonnie Prince Charlie through her mother's line of the family. I've found out subsequently the surname of my great-great-grandmother, and she was Christina Stewart, which was Bonnie Prince Charlie's surname. When I was a child, my mum used to dress me in a tartan skirt, and it was always Stewart tartan. And the reason it was Stewart tartan was because she claimed it was handed down through the family, and that is the tartan that Bonnie Prince Charlie wore. He led the Jacobean rebellion at the Battle of Culloden and lost. I think Bonnie Prince Charlie certainly had a reputation. He was a rebel. He was a womaniser. Who knows, he may have been a drinker. And certainly, when you look through the lines of my family, there are some characteristics that can be drawn with people today. So I'm sure we can claim some sort of heritage from him.
Welcome to the show, Christina.
Thank you.
What a great family story, related to none other than Bonnie Prince Charlie. I tell you what, how many Scots would chop their right arm off to be able to prove that? You clearly know a bit, but how much have you invested emotionally in the idea of him being in your family tree?
There's that sense of connection, almost as though he's leading the idea, I need to be found.
Because let's establish him in history. He's this kind of almost mythical figure. We know he dressed up in disguise to escape, and Flora MacDonald helped him back over the water. But actually, it has fascinating historical roots, because it could have panned out so differently for Britain. His grandfather, of course, was the Catholic king, James II, coming off the back of Charles II, the Restoration King. James, we know, was ousted. In comes William of Orange, and eventually you get the establishment of the Hanoverians. Now, the big problem, really, for Bonnie Prince Charlie as the young pretender is he comes about 30 years too late. By the mid-18th century, the Hanoverians have had time to establish themselves in England. And really, you need critical mass in England as well as Scotland to have any traction. But what's great about Bonnie Prince Charlie is 10 out of 10 for effort. You know, he gave it absolutely the best crack of the whip. So let's just go to a map of the Highlands of Scotland. He leaves France, he's 24 years old. He has a band of 7 people, OK? He's intending to take the throne off the stodgy Georges, all right, in England. And he arrives and he lands on a little island called Eriskay, and he comes crashing down through the Highlands. Now, I want to pull up a place named on the map called Rannoch Moor. You see, we're going to come back to Rannoch. I know a lot about that place, and I'll explain in a bit. And he takes Perth, he takes Edinburgh, crosses the border, I think, at Carlisle, as far as Derby. You know, the whole English story is they hadn't been invaded since 1066. Well, in 1745, Bonnie Prince Charlie, with the 4,000 recruits he'd pulled in from the Highlands, goes and gives the English, or at least the Hanoverians, a bit of a shock. OK? Now, the problem is they're not sufficiently prepared or trained. Most of them want to retreat. Meanwhile, of course, there's been a sharp shock delivered down in Westminster. We've got to do something about this. So George II sends his son, Cumberland, thumping up to the north of Scotland, and that's where Bonnie Prince Charlie has to make a fast escape, goes into hiding, and as you mentioned, the Battle of Culloden. I mean, every Scottish schoolchild knows about the Battle of Culloden. They are slaughtered. Rather tragically, he lives the rest of his life out in Italy and France. Never lets go of his claim to the throne. When his father dies, he calls himself Charles III. Takes to drink. It's said he was seldom quite sober in the latter years of his life. But, you know, there was such potential there. Flair, he was musical, he was athletic, he was a polyglot, he spoke many European languages. So, really, you can't ask for more in a hero. For you, is he a hero, or is he a figure of pity?
I see him as a hero. That must have taken some pluck to have done that, a belief in what he was wanting to achieve.
Yeah. He's what legends are literally made of.
Yes.
OK, now, the quest today is to personalise this story. Let's see now if we can link your family to him. So let me take you time travelling. We have got marriages from the county of Perth, and we can see Christina Stewart, that is your great-grandmother, OK?
Yes.
She gets married in Perth, so bang, we're in the right place from the get-go. So let's look at Christina Stewart's family tree in relation to you, and we can go back to an Archibald Stewart. We're going to stick with the Stewart line, so that's your great-great-grandfather. And incidentally, the spellings of Stewart and Stewart, S-T-A-U-R-T, are interchangeable.
Yeah.
And we see they're born in 1815. So each time we go back a decade, we're getting nearer to that mid-18th century, which is where we want to be. And here we have the birth certificate for Archibald Stewart, so your great-great-grandfather. Right. And his parents are an Alexander Stewart and a Christina Robertson, a good Scottish clan name there. Yeah, there's a lot of Robertsons in Scotland. And we can see that he was born at Portobello, which is very near Edinburgh. So again, we know that Bonnie Prince Charlie through Perth took Edinburgh. We're in the right place. Let's stick with that couple, all right? Let me introduce you to the marriage certificate between Alex Stewart and Christina Robertson. Now, what's significant about this from our point of view is the place they got married in. Can you see it?
Rannoch.
Rannoch. And you said it perfectly. It was also the birthplace of an incredibly famous historian. It's my home village. I was born in Rannoch. That is me standing last year on Rannoch Moor. It used to be forest. OK, so think Bonnie Prince Charlie time. They are not just hopping over a boggy moor. But back then, 200-odd years ago, it was peppered with clans, small settlements, when suddenly a prince comes thundering through. Come with me and smash the English. My God, the Sassenachs. You can imagine Bonnie Prince Charlie ripping through a place like that. When were you last in the Highlands, Christine?
I've never been.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
It's so painful. Let's see if we can get you further back. Come on. Baptisms from Rannoch. We see here that Christine, daughter of Donald Robertson and Margaret Cumming, was baptised February 14th, 1784.
Incredible. Amazing.
OK, so here we are. We've gone from your great-grandmother, Christina. We've hopped to an Archibald, OK, who took us to Edinburgh. His parents take us to their marriage. And then we can go right back to Donald Robertson and Margaret Cumming. Cumming still a local family, Robertson still a local family.
Gosh.
Isn't it amazing? Now, genetically, your 3 times removed grandmother and your 4 times removed grandparents, both of them are from Rannoch, a Jacobite stronghold. I mean, are you related to Bonnie Prince Charlie? We cannot say you are genetically the flesh and blood of Bonnie Prince Charlie. Who knows? But you certainly brushed up close with the Bonnie wee man, eh?
Gosh, amazing.
What
Incredible.
a great story.
Yes.
What a great
Absolutely.
story. Geographically,
yes,
you're one of his.
Amazing. Absolutely.
I think
amazing.
you should move to Rannoch, actually.
I think I should go there.
You take your whole
definitely.
family. The primary school could do with a numbers up boost. Before you climb Schiehallion and look down upon Kinloch Rannoch, a miniskirt in this.
Oh,
it is the Royal Stuart
Tartan. It is indeed.
Yeah, I want you in a picture posing like me on that moor. All right? Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you. That story, which was a fireside story, has more meaning. It's become alive. I've earned the Royal Stuart tartan, and I can say to Bonnie Prince Charlie, I'm wearing the tartan he wore.
Some promising news for Christine, who, if not directly related, was certainly close to the clan of Bonnie Prince Charlie.
We're at King's Weston House in Bristol, a historic manor house in Somerset, where people from all over the UK have been gathering, eager to have their questions answered.
We've been overwhelmed by the sheer number of people wanting to meet the experts to try to solve secrets in their family's past.
I am trying to trace my family tree, and I'm trying to trace it on my mother's side.
I found out that my grandparents emigrated on marriage to America, and I would just love to find out the name of the ship, where they sailed from. Anything at all would be lovely.
Getting ready to tackle today's family mysteries, our team of experts. Historian and writer Tessa Dunlop goes on an emotional journey through World War I.
Oh, what a brave man.
A very brave man.
Yeah.
Genetic genealogist Brad Argent explores the world of Sigmund Freud.
So the documents uncovered. This is where we need to be, those 21st century detectives.
And historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia uncovers a scandalous family story.
Something dramatic happened. Daisy shot him.
Wow. With so many mysteries to solve, it's time to get started. First up, we're helping June Bridges from Berkshire. She thinks she's related to 20th century top tenor opera star Charles Craig.
What a voice, June.
Fantastic.
An extraordinary man. Charles Craig, probably one of the best British opera singers of the 20th century. Why is he so relevant to you?
I went online because somebody said, is there anyone famous in your family tree? And I typed my maiden name in.
Which is Craig.
Which is Craig.
Right.
I looked and I thought, he's from the same area as where my family were from, Bethnal Green, Shoreditch in London.
East London.
And I thought, oh, I wonder. So I am just here, really, to find out if there is a connection with us.
And if there is, how close it is. I'm looking at him and looking at you with your cherubic good looks. I'm thinking, just on the basis of visuals alone, it's hopeful. He is, just to reiterate, I mean, he was the darling of the Royal Opera House, the English National Opera, opera houses all over the world, really in his zenith between the 50s and the 80s. Apparently he listened to Enrico Caruso, and that is what inspired him, the great Italian opera singer. And he learned by copying. An extraordinary man. Anyway, let's see. The quest is, of course, to build up his family tree a bit and then hopefully go back with yours and find that common connection.
Yes, it would be great.
OK, so we found his death record. He died in 1997.
OK.
And from looking at his death record, we found out when he was born. What we have here is the birth certificate of Charles Craig, his middle name James. You can see 1919.
Yes.
Relevant, of course, Shoreditch, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Stomping ground of your family. And from this birth certificate, we can find out who his father is. James George Craig, and a mother, Annie Racina. OK?
Yes.
So by identifying the parents, we can then go back a generation. We're going to go back one further to see what the marriage certificate of James and Anne can deliver for us. So here they are getting married at the end of the 19th century. James Craig marrying Anne Racina. Again, in the right area, parish of Bethnal Green. We're tracking along a bit here, and we can see here now what they do. Do you see under rank or profession, it says hawker for James. Could you know what a hawker was?
Is a hawker a street seller?
Basically, it's like pound shop in a person.
Right.
All right, roll up, meat pies.
Right.
You would need a good voice, to be fair.
Yes.
Here are street hawkers. Really hard work.
Hawkers, one of the oldest trades in the world, synonymous with peddlers and street sellers. Throughout the 19th century, they were a common sight in towns and villages throughout Britain, as much a part of our life as supermarkets today. Whether stationary or mobile, hawkers advertise their goods with loud street cries or chants, creating banter with customers to attract attention and enhance sales, selling everything from clothing and crafts to food. The hawkers of London were at their peak in the 19th century. They served London's booming population, which grew from around 865,000 people in 1801 to 3 million in 1871. The demand for London street food saw hawkers serving up a veritable feast of pea soup, pickled whelks, pies, and fried fish. In the mid-19th century, it's estimated there were between 30 to 40,000 hawkers relying on street selling for their income. There was pressure on young children and women to go out and work alone on the streets. They could make the difference between the family surviving or being forced to enter the workhouse. Working as a hawker involved long, hard days from 4 in the morning, often till late at night.
Does that resonate for you, your own family background?
Absolutely does, because Shoreditch and Bethnal Green, even when I was young, there wasn't much money.
OK, so that makes really, Charles Craig's success in the 20th century, even more spectacular. So tough, humble beginnings.
Yeah, not a lot of money there.
Very little. So let's establish what we have now. Charles Craig, this man who's becoming ever more phenomenal. James Craig is his father. Well, we went and found James's birth certificate or his baptism record. We can see there that John and Eliza are cited as the parents. Do you see that second from the bottom?
Yeah.
All this, by the way, taking place in Bethnal Green. So let's now return to your tree. We are now going to track back one generation. There's your father, Terence. Tell us a bit about Terence.
My dad, Terence, he was a character. He was always singing, always dancing.
Oh, was he? So there was the performer in Terence?
There was, yeah. Yes, he sang quite a lot. So I did wonder if there was a connection.
We are now going to track back one generation. Your grandfather was called Edward Craig.
Yes.
He married Mary. Mary Maudley, according to the census, lived next door to Edward as a child.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she really was the girl next door.
Oh,
it's kind of sweet.
fantastic.
And so what we have really is Edward Craig in your tree, your grandfather, is the same generation as James Craig, the father of Charles Craig. Do you see that? They're both born in the 1870s.
Yes.
So we're hoping there might be a link. Could there be cousins or brothers at best? Very common name, remember these.
Yeah.
And a very populated area.
Yes.
But let's see what we can do. Let's go back to that baptism certificate of your grandfather, if we may, Edward, 1872, right down in the bottom corner. And what are his parents called?
John and Eliza.
Now, where have we heard of John and Eliza?
Oh, yes, the same.
They are the grandparents' names of Charles Craig. Again, hold fire, because they're very common names.
Oh, of
so
course
we
not,
need
no.
little more grist to our
Yes,
mill before we can say absolutely definitely. But this is looking good. Let's go up. Second column from the end. Quality, trade or profession of the parent. Hard to read, but a hawker. OK? It's looking, I would say, pretty good.
Yeah.
But we need to leave you today certain.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay?
That's what I want to know.
Now, did this John and Eliza, who had Edward, did they also have a child called James?
OK.
That's the question that needs answered. Now, this is the census of 1891. OK, in the right area, Bethnal Green, OK? So all along, it's your stomping ground. We have a family called Craig. Do you see?
Yes.
Now, John is married to Eliza. Can you find John and Eliza?
Yes.
So first of all, we have that Edward. We know he was born in 1872.
Yes.
OK, now track on down. Can you find us what we want?
James.
We want James. And what is James?
Son.
He's a son. Two sons, which means Terence's father and Charles Craig's father were brothers. OK? So do the math. Can you tell me the relation between your father, Terence, and Charles Craig? What
They
relation
must have
were
been
they?
cousins.
First cousins. Which incidentally makes you the great operatic talent of the 20th century's first cousin once removed.
Oh, fantastic.
I think I want you to break into song.
That is lovely. I'm so pleased you found that out for me. Now I can tell everyone.
Well done. All the best.
Thank you.
That was brilliant
Thank
fun. Great fun.
That was pretty amazing. It was nice to learn that I am related to a very famous opera singer. Now I know why my dad was always singing and dancing and happy all the time. It must have run in the family.
So it's now official. June is related to the great opera star, Charles Craig. And there's more emotional news to come as she learns the incredible truth about her brave grandfather.
So he's been twice wounded, but it doesn't stop him. He rejoins from hospital.
My grandfather.
Also coming up, genealogist Brad helps one guest discover if they're barking up the wrong family tree.
I mean, you have shaken that tree as hard as you can, right?
And I picked the wrong one.
You picked the wrong one.
I understand that my grandfather might have been a wealthy landowner who had a fling with one of the land girls.
This is my family tree, which my daughter made for my dad, and it goes back 8 generations.
Our next guest, Stuart Heath, has reached something of a cul-de-sac while researching his great-grandfather. He'd like some help to get further up his family tree.
My name's Stuart Heath, and last year I turned 50, which was quite a big birthday for me.
So I kind of got thinking about the family and the history of the family, and it kind of dawned on me that I didn't know anything about who my ancestors were. By the time I was 10, 15, my grandparents, my father had all passed away. When I was looking back through my family history, I discovered something about my great-grandfather that rose my suspicions, that he was given the surname Heath by his mother, and there was no record of who the father was. I'd like to find out as much information as possible. I think it would put some clarity to a lot of questions that I've had all my life and never had the opportunity to ask anyone or find out.
Hello, Stuart.
Hi.
Welcome. And you brought your mum, Vera, with you today.
Yes.
That's right. Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, real pleasure. So what is it that brings you in today?
The research that I've done, I kind of discovered that about 3 generations ago there was a child born that was given the mother's surname, which then made me think, is my surname of Heath really the name I should be using?
Vera, have you been helping him out with this at all?
When he's got stuck, I've found out bits of information that I knew to help him on his way.
Has he found any skeletons in the closet?
Well, I hope not.
I just didn't tell her.
Okay. So what I want to do is start off by looking at your family tree.
OK.
This is you, right? This is Mum. This is your dad.
Yeah.
Right. And we're building back here. Frederick Heath. Who's Frederick? Can you tell me anything about Frederick?
He was my grandfather.
Yeah.
But I didn't know him very well. I think I was about 6 years old when he passed away.
Have you looked at any of the records, actually pulled, you know, solid, hard evidence for any of this?
I found a couple of census records that had Frederick on it with his siblings.
Okay.
As far as birth records or anything were concerned, I couldn't find anything.
Okay. So this is 1883.
OK.
Right? He was from London. This is what London looked like in 1883. It's one of the things that always strikes me is when you look at footage like this, it's the activity, right? And the movement and the mass of people. This is the world into which he was born. And this is where it starts to get really interesting. There were 2 Frederick Heaths born in London in 1883.
Just 2?
Just 2.
And I picked the wrong one.
You picked the wrong one.
No. I can't believe it.
So, we know that there's a different Mr. Heath we need to follow. This is actually the marriage record of your great-grandfather. And from this, we actually find out that your Frederick Heath, his dad's name is Sidney.
OK.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we've got a name. You were looking for your great-great-grandfather.
Yes.
And there he is, with your great-great-grandmother, Alice Jane Beard.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And so, we step back and back and back and back, right up to your 5 times great-grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Right? George Heath.
Yeah.
So we've taken you right back into the 1700s.
Fantastic.
What do you think your dad would say if he could see just how far back this goes?
I would be amazed.
I think he would, yeah.
I would really be amazed.
He'd also call me an idiot for going the wrong direction as well. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
It's a real pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. I'm still in shock that there were only two Fredericks born in London in 1883, just 2 of them, and I followed the line of the wrong one and traced the whole family tree thinking that I had all this information and I'd done a good job. It was totally wrong. But I'm just really happy now that I've got the correct information, and we can, go away and delve into it further. Know that the information I'm going to look at now is the real McCoy.
Mystery solved for Stuart, who can finally follow the correct family tree. If, like Stuart, you're researching an ancestor for your family tree, a good starting place is birth, marriage, and death records, as well as censuses, which may contain the valuable information you need. Earlier on, we met June Bridges, who was delighted to discover she's related to the late great opera singer, Charles Craig. But she has another family mystery she'd like to solve, and it dates all the way back to World War I.
So, June, we've got one impressive opera singer
Yes.
On your paternal line.
Yes.
But you've also come here with a second question, haven't you, regarding your maternal line?
Yes, I'd like to find out about my grandfather.
Tell me about this fantastic-looking man, David Walsh.
He was in the First World War, and I'd like to find out what his journey was, what he went through.
Do you have any idea of what we're going to unpack today?
No, no.
He never mentioned it?
No, no one ever spoke about it. My mum never spoke about it. No one ever spoke about it, and I was only 6 when he died.
Let's find out what we can on David Walsh. You want to know about his performance in the army?
Absolutely. I'd like to know his journey, what he went through.
Well, the most important thing is he was a survivor.
Yes,
because, of course, the First World War was deadly.
Yes.
All right? I can tell you that he came out of the First World War with 3 medals.
Really?
That we know of. 3 medals that we know of. One is the Victory Medal. The Victory Medal was given to all men at the end of the First World War, the time the armistice was signed in November 1918. The British Medal was given to all men who were British, who were fighting in the First World War. So those are 2 fairly standard medals that most men in the British Army would have received. The 3rd medal is the Star Medal, OK? And here we have evidence. Do you know what the Star Medal was for? By 1916, conscription had been introduced. Men had no choice. They had to go to war. But in 1914, the British Army depended on volunteers. Your grandfather volunteered at the get-go of this war. August 1914, David, aged 28, he was one of the first guys out of the trap, ready to go and fight for king and country.
Oh, what a brave man.
A very brave man. Yeah, you can feel that. OK?
I'm a bit emotional, I'm sorry.
It's all right, don't be sorry. You know, this is a guy who went out there. He was one of the first guys in 1914, you know. And by the way, he lasted the course, as we're going to discover. So let's just have a quick look at his enlistment. What's interesting about this document is he bequeaths 1/3 of his pay to his wife.
Oh. Never forgot about his family. What a man, what a man.
And now, the second document I'm going to show you is quite interesting. This is one where he is asked to detail the distinctive marks or marks indicating congenital peculiarities or previous disease. Now, why do you think you might be asked before you go to war?
So that if he died, they would recognise him by his tattoos.
Indeed. He had a fair few of them. So there's a horseshoe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's something that says true love. Rather touchingly, there's another tattoo that says, I love Kate Sullivan.
Oh, my nan.
That was your nan?
Yeah.
So, June, what we've got here is the casualty form of your grandfather's active service. So he's wounded in action.
Oh, crikey.
And then we see that he's suffering from shell shock.
Oh, dear. What must they have gone through?
So he was struggling, but he was a fighter because he goes back out there. And by May 1917, he's injured again, this time in the leg. OK? Severe, it says. Leg severe. Do you see?
I do.
But it doesn't stop him. He rejoins from hospital. OK? So he's been twice wounded, but there's no question of him going back to King's Cross and Pancras. He rejoins from hospital. He's granted a bit of leave in September 1917, and then he rejoins the nightmare that is to become the Battle of Passchendaele.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 1/3 of a million Allied soldiers died, taking one village.
So sad.
And almost the equivalent on the enemy side. Young men, the flower of a generation.
Yes.
Bang, gone. By the way, 90,000 unidentified dead bodies. So on this alone, we see Battle of the Somme and Passchendaele. Now, if you look at the bottom there, what happens? Can you see what happens at the bottom?
Prisoner of war.
He's a prisoner of war, OK? He's taken captive by the Germans. All right? September 1917. Now, he was taken prisoner of war during Passchendaele, OK? We know this because the remarkable organisation that is the International Red Cross keeps records. This is from the German army. Yeah, we can see here Ypres, 25th of the 9th, 17, OK? This is when he's taken captive. David Walsh is listed. We actually know that he was bumped in a period of 3 months between 3 prisoner of war camps.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He was having a nightmare.
I just can't imagine it. My grandfather went through all that.
But the amazing thing is, your grandfather, David, he was blessed. He got through the 2 nightmares, the Somme and Passchendaele, and he came out the other side. He did. Without which we wouldn't have you, June.
That's right. That's right. What a brave man. So proud that I know of his journey. Thank you.
Thank you. And we wanted to, don't have the original, but we wanted to give you a replica of the Star Medal, the equivalent of what your grandfather was given, for volunteering. Well done, June. What a story.
Oh.
What a soldier.
Thank you. It means a lot.
And by the way, what a family. Yeah. An opera singer on one side.
Yeah.
And a soldier on the other.
Great men.
Yeah, great men. And a great woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can't believe that he got this medal, because I never knew that he ever had any medals at all. And this is his medal. And it's called the Star. And I'm really proud to be his granddaughter.
What a result. June's gained an opera star ancestor and finally knows all about her war hero grandfather. Coming up, Brad looks into the mystery of a missing man.
It's a bit suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we have John Freud, 1881, gone.
Next up is Annette Dunster, an antiques dealer from Cornwall. Her family tree has thrown up an intriguing story of a kept woman, some double standards, and a crime of passion. And it's all set against the strict moral codes of Victorian Britain.
I've heard a story about my great-great-aunt Daisy who shot her lover on London Bridge. My name's Annette Dunster. I live in Lostwithiel in Cornwall, and together with my husband Martin, we run an antiques business. I had been interested in my family history for some time, and I decided to go down the path of my maternal grandmother. And I knew that she had a mother called Alice Ball. Apart from that, I knew nothing about the family at all. I found somebody who had a connection with Alice Ball on an internet site, and I contacted them and I said, "Are we connected?" I had an email from a chap who said, "Oh yes, we are connected. She was my great-great-aunt, but did you know about Alice's sister, Daisy?" And of course I thought, well, I've never heard of Daisy before, but I actually have a daughter called Daisy, which was amazing. Then they sent me the newspaper cutting and telling me all about my great-great-aunt Daisy who shot her lover on London Bridge. I don't think she was ever charged with murder. I think she was pardoned. That's all I know. I would like to find out whatever happened to Daisy. Did she find happiness? Did she get married? Did she come to some awful sticky end? What happened?
Welcome, Annette.
Thank you.
It's really nice to meet you.
Nice to be here.
So, we understand that you've got a very interesting ancestor.
Yeah, it was my grandmother's great aunt. Her name was Daisy, and as far as I know, she shot her lover on London Bridge at the turn of the century.
First thing is we've got the baptism certificate for Daisy, and it shows that Daisy was born on the 22nd of December, 1864 in Lambeth, and her name was Mary Ann Elizabeth Ball at the time of her baptism. But she went by the nickname of Daisy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her parents were Mary Ann Nash and Frances Ball. In 1901, her parents were living in Penton Place in Newington. But there's no record of Daisy living with the family by 1901. So the presumption is that she left when she was 17.
Right.
Now, it's quite something even now for a young woman at 17 to leave home. It would have meant that she had a certain character a certain determination.
Yes, I can see that coming through the family line. I have 3 girls and they are all very strong-willed.
Independent-minded.
Very, very independent-minded, and they will do exactly what they want to do,
Right.
yes.
Yeah. Now, the London that she was coming to was a vibrant London, full of energy and life, and also a city that was going through a lot of social change. Women were beginning to assert themselves in many different fields. So Daisy started to work in the Fountain and Star pub. So in the 19th century, there was also the Women's Temperance Society. It was a political movement that was radical, like the suffragettes, that believed that women shouldn't be associated with pubs, that pubs were places for men. The women, like Daisy, who stood against them and decided to work in those sorts of places, were rule breakers.
That rings a bell, yeah.
I mean, nowadays it's not controversial for a woman, but in the 19th century,
Yeah.
for a woman to be working as a barmaid in essentially a man's pub, that's a big leap forward.
Yes.
And she must have been strong-minded, thick-skinned too.
Yes, yeah.
So this is a picture of the Fountain and Star public house.
Is it still there now?
No, we believe it's not. It's been
Okay.
knocked down. But this is a picture taken about 40 years later.
That's interesting.
Yeah. While she was there, of course, she met the employer, Frederick Joseph Highmore.
Okay.
Can you guess what happened next?
She started a relationship with him.
Right. So the relationship, we don't know whether it was casual at the beginning, but we know that he was married.
Oh.
This is a copy of his marriage certificate.
Okay.
But the relationship with Daisy was a tumultuous relationship.
So there was violence?
There was violence involved.
Okay.
And then something dramatic happened. It appears that in March 1901, Daisy took out a gun and showed it to Frederick on London Bridge.
Yeah.
And said that this is for both of us. Now, this appears to be where you get your story about Daisy shooting her lover on London Bridge. Now, the shooting, because there was an actual shooting, was at the post office tavern. It appears as if Daisy took out a revolver and shot him.
Okay.
Now, when she was arrested, they asked her what happened. So what we see here is a newspaper report. Can you read what it says?
Prisoner said to the police who arrested her, he's brought it all on himself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
She says, I don't care. He has made my life what it is. So at that time, we didn't know what she further intended, but later on it came forward that she intended to commit suicide herself. But she couldn't go through with it. When she shot him, the bullet entered him, but he did not die. But he lost the sight from his right eye.
Yeah.
So the matter went to court. And this is a copy of the transcripts from that court case. If you look at the very top,
Yeah.
it says Daisy Ball, a barmaid, was indicted for having shot Frederick Highmore, a licensed Bectulia, that's someone who handles alcohol, with an intent to murder him on the 20th of May. This is a record of the same court case. She was found guilty of shooting and wounding to do grievous bodily harm.
Ah.
And she was sentenced to 3 years penal servitude.
And what is penal servitude?
It would have been hard labor. It wouldn't have been very pleasant. It would have been perhaps bearable.
Yes.
Now, Frederick testified in the court case. He did die later.
From his injuries?
Probably from his injuries.
Okay.
This is a record you see at the bottom of the coroner's inquisition for murder.
It says on coroner's inquisition for murder.
Yes.
But she wasn't done for murder.
That's right, she wasn't. But they still inquire into it as if it was.
So they didn't charge her with murder
No.
after his death?
No. Daisy's story doesn't end there.
Okay, what happened to Daisy?
It doesn't end there. So, first of all, Daisy started going by Mary Ann.
Ah, I can understand that.
You know what this is?
That's her marriage certificate.
Yes.
But she was 58 and still a spinster.
That's correct.
And her husband was 69. He was a widower. They were living together when they got married.
You smiled then.
Good old Daisy.
And they stayed married until they died.
Oh.
And Daisy outlived him,
Yes.
She didn't die until 1949, and she was 84.
Wow. But I'd like to think she found happiness in the end. And love.
Yeah, and there is a happy ending in this end.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Annette, you came to find out more about Daisy. What do you think of her now?
I'm happy because I know what happened to her. She found love and she got married and she lived to a ripe old age.
And the name Daisy lives on in your daughter?
My daughter is Daisy May. She's a strong woman.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of strong women in our family.
Are there? So it's passed down the generations?
It has done, yes.
Yeah, but don't do that.
No, I'll try not to.
So we've solved the family mystery for Annette, who finally has the full story about her great-aunt Daisy. Coming up, Onyeka will be delving into an 1830s English uprising.
They felt they were fighting for the livelihoods of their families.
I've got goosebumps.
Our next guest is Lucy Polkinghorne. She's brought along her daughter Sophie, and they're hoping to discover a link to one of the most influential minds of the 20th century, Sigmund Freud.
So, Lucy, Sophie, welcome. What have you come here to find out today?
I've come to find out about my great-grandfather, John Freud, if there's a connection with him actually being John Freud, who is the nephew of the famous Sigmund Freud.
So it's a case of two Johns?
That's right. Is he the same John?
So, Lucy, what do you know about Sigmund Freud's John?
I know he was born in Austria, and we know that they came over to live in Manchester in England.
And he disappears, doesn't he?
He does disappear.
So we know John Freud, Sigmund's half-nephew. We know he was in Manchester. We know the family went to Manchester around about 1860, because we see them in the 1861 census. And John even appears in the 1881 census and then disappears. But then in 1891, John Freud, F-R-O-U-D, your ancestor,
yes,
makes an appearance. And we know nothing of him really before this time. So tell me about your John.
I know that from 1891, he's living in London, and he seems to stay in London until his death in 1936.
So why do you think your John is actually Sigmund's John?
When his daughter was born in 1892, he changed the spelling of her name to F-R-U-E-D, another close indication it could be Freud.
It's a bit suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we have John Freud, very active in the records. 1881, gone. Come the next big census, the 1891 census, John Freud appears. So the documents trying to prove a connection between the two Johns run cold. But this is where DNA comes in. This is where we need to be, those 21st century detectives. And when we look at your DNA results, we find that you have cousins, and those cousins are people born in Austria. So not only do you have this cousin connection, you also have ethnicities that connects you back to Austria. There's tantalising evidence to suggest that these two people might be the same person. But there's no proof. But we're getting closer to solving this mystery. But all it will take is for one Freudian slip in the document. And we'll have what we need. Thank you both for coming.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been interesting. Thank you for your help. Thanks.
Some exciting news for Lucy, who's now spurred on to find that piece of solid evidence linking her family to Sigmund Freud's.
We talk a lot about technology replacing humans, but 200 years ago, there were riots against mechanisation.
Our next guest, Gary Chalk, wants to find out if his ancestor was one of those sent to prison for raging against the machine.
My name's Gary Chalk. I'm from Portsmouth. I've been researching my family tree for around about 5 years now. Came across this article which mentions a John Chalk. On further research into John Chalk, it appears that he had a criminal record, which on further investigation appears to relate to the swing riots of 1830. He was an agricultural labourer. I understand that the farm machinery had just been introduced, the threshing machines, and that as an agricultural labourer, John and his compatriots would obviously have been very concerned that they were going to lose their work and being able to support their families. So that triggered the swing riots. The perpetrators were rounded up and arrested, and there was a very large trial which took place in Winchester. John received 1 year's hard labour sentence, and I believe he was imprisoned in Winchester jail. As a consequence of the uprisings, the trades union movement formed out from that. If I were to find out that John Chalk was my ancestor, and he was one of the first people to stand up for workers' rights and was a forerunner to the current trade union movement, I'd be very proud.
Welcome, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Right. You understand that you've got a very interesting family
Yes.
that you want to share with us.
Absolutely. John Chalk, who I believe may be my third great-grandfather, was involved with the swing riots. As I say, I haven't been able to establish that, so I'm hoping you'll be able to enlighten me.
OK. I think it's important that we just sort of outline what happened or what Britain was like in the 19th century at that time. Britain was essentially a rural agricultural society, and these labourers laboured upon the land, and suddenly these machines arrived. They were noisy, they were aggressive, they dominated the landscape, and many of the local people were afraid that these machines would take away their livelihoods. So the swing riots took place in southeast London and East Kent, around the east coast of England, and then developed further during the 1830s. At the time, they were often described almost in the way in which we would think of as terrorists, as people who were standing against society altogether. But they felt they were fighting for the livelihoods of their families and their local community. The actual name swing originates from a captain swing. This is a fictitious person that they created to hide their identities. They sent letters like this to rich landowners, threatening them. The content of these letters involved sometimes a mild threat, sometimes an aggressive threat, telling them to desist from using these machines, or even sometimes to leave the local area. A special commission was created in the 1830s to try those individuals that had been suspected of playing a part in the swing riots. During the proceedings, they saw over 650 people were imprisoned, and over 500 were sentenced of those 650 to transportation. And a further 19 were executed.
It's stunning figures. It's quite eye-opening, actually.
If we look now at another very interesting piece of evidence, this is a criminal record. And on this criminal record, at the top, you see the name there, John Chalk?
Yes, yeah.
Contains a list of some other names, too. The other names on this criminal register are James Vandell, Benjamin Brown, and James Camis. They were all sentenced to prison for terms of 18 months of hard labour. Remember those names, they're very important. This is a family tree. Can you see yourself on it?
Yes.
Right. And do you notice some other name on this family tree?
I see John Chalk at the top there, son of George Chalk.
This John Chalk matches the same John Chalk that we've been talking about. There are no other possible John Chalks whose age and location match. Plus, the baptisms of his children in the same area all point to this conclusion. You are a direct descendant of John Chalk, who was involved in the swing riots of the 1830s and was sentenced and convicted for defending the rural poor. How does that make you feel?
I've got goosebumps. It's incredible. It is incredible.
Remember I said to you to remember the name of Vandell. Does this family tree look complete to you? Is there anything missing from it?
John's wife.
Now, the second part of your family tree includes the family Vandell. William Vandell and James Vandell were involved with John in those same riots in 1830.
This is all new to me.
Right. To have one revolutionary in a family is something, but to have 3 or 4...
Well, clearly the family obviously felt that they needed to stand up for what they thought was right. They must have known what they were getting into. They must have known the consequences. So they wouldn't have done it lightly. It's quite a revelation. That's fantastic, thank you. I'm very pleased. Being able to establish that John Chalk is my ancestor. I don't consider myself to be a rebel now, but if I was in John Chalk's situation 150 plus years ago, I'd probably do the same.
We've been contacted by people throughout Britain who are desperate to have their family mysteries resolved.
My dad was adopted, and I'm here today to find out more about his birth family.
My husband's great-grandmother is a bit of a family mystery. We've hit a dead end.
Taking on today's mysteries are our team of experts. Historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia uncovers an incredible wartime survival story.
He was a prisoner of war, but your grandfather escaped.
How? Ancestry genealogist Brad Argent delves into the 1800s to solve a marriage mystery.
He was living apart from Jemima, and he was in financial difficulty.
I hadn't thought of them being separated.
And tackling our first story is writer and historian Tessa Dunlop, who's helping one visitor to resolve a family rumour about her great-grandmother's mixed-faith marriage.
Who people choose to marry could be contentious, even shameful, in 1950s Christian Britain. Up next is Sarah Jardine, who wants us to help her solve a long-held family secret involving her great-grandmother.
I'm Sarah Jardine, and I'm from West Sussex. I have a son, he's 3 years old. We're also expecting another baby shortly. I'd really like to know about my great-grandmother. We don't know how she ended up from wherever she was from, in the East End of London, married to a Polish Jew in the 1900s. My great-grandmother was Marjorie Alexander, and her maiden name was Marjorie Sendall. It was said that she wasn't Jewish, so we wanted to know if she did actually convert to marry my great-grandfather, David, or if she just kind of went with the flow, because all the children were raised Jewish and all went to a Jewish school in the East End of London. My grandfather didn't really talk much about his childhood, so we're not really sure what it was like or what experiences he had. So we're keen to find out a bit more about her, and then that will hopefully lead us to finding a bit more about what his childhood was like.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
And you've brought with you the conundrum of your great-grandmother Marjorie.
Yep, that's right.
What are the main issues or mysteries surrounding Marjorie?
Some people say she was from Ireland, some people say she was from Scotland. We wanted to know how she ended up in the East End of London, married to a Polish Jewish immigrant.
David Alexander.
David Alexander.
We struggled to find a Marjorie Sendall in Scotland, indeed in England. However, I'm going to show you now a register from 1939.
Right.
And if you look at the top, you can see a David Alexander is living with a Martha Alexander. So it's Martha, not Marjorie.
OK. I just find it so strange that she's changed her name. Why the change?
Quite a lot was going to happen to young Martha, which may shed some light on why there was a need to shift her identity a bit.
OK.
I'm going to show you a newspaper article from the 29th of January, 1878.
OK.
The Essex Herald. But if we could just focus on the name Edward Sendall. He's driving his cab home, and by cab we mean a horse and cart, effectively.
Right.
He turns his cab down the yard late at night, but he doesn't go home, and his son is sent to look for him the crack of dawn on Thursday and finds his father lying quite dead under the cab, which was turned over on its side.
Oh, that's so sad. So that was Martha's father?
Well deduced. She's just 6 months old when her father dies.
Oh, so sad.
So this is desperate for Emma, her mother.
Yeah.
The breadwinner's been wiped out overnight.
Right.
There's no welfare state.
No. Times are tough.
Really tough.
Yeah.
We find her in the 1881 census.
Right.
she did indeed enter a workhouse.
Oh, my God.
There's Emma. Her admissions age was just 52. And she didn't stay long, a month or so. You can see there she leaves a couple of weeks later. Islington Workhouse was particularly unappealing, dismal. But you would, for your child, get basic medical care and basic education.
Right. So it was the best place for them at the time, really.
Seems to have had a profoundly negative impact on Mother Emma, because later that same year, we find the death registry on which Emma is featured. So you can see there, Emma Sendall, aged 52, dying in Islington. And when we look in the records as to what happens to Martha, we find her again, aged 11, and she's been enrolled in King Edward's School in Southwark by her brother, and she stays there until she's 16. Wow. The priority was to ensure she remained healthy and useful.
Right.
The best, really, that your great-grandmother Martha could have hoped for was work as a domestic servant.
Right.
And sure enough, we see her discharged January 10th, 1894. Martha Sendall, aged 16 years, has been in the school 4 years and 11 months, and her conduct has been good. She is to assist in general work by Mrs. Jackson. Now, you were at the whim of your employer as a domestic servant.
Right.
There were no welfare or work standards in those days.
Luck of the draw.
It was the luck of the draw. She doesn't last very long in this particular job. And indeed, she is found in an admission to Newington Workhouse in Southwark.
So she goes back to the workhouse?
She does.
Poor Martha.
We find her in one more position as a servant shortly after this. What's interesting, her name has gone from Martha to Marjorie. Marjorie Lillian Sendall. Now, maybe something happened untoward in the workhouse. I don't know, why did she lose the job with the first employer? We don't know. We're now going to track on to 1899. Right. So she's a 22-year-old woman, and we have here a record of baptisms. And I want to focus on one little boy in particular, a Walter Frank, born in August 1899. And you'll see there that the mother is a Marjorie Lillian. And you can also see that it's her surname that's registered as the child's name. There's one scored out. So maybe there's an idea of a dad, but there wasn't a married husband producing a legitimate child.
Okay.
So it's a precarious existence for Marjorie at this stage.
Oh my God.
Orphaned, 2 stints in a workhouse, invidious work as a domestic servant, and now an illegitimate baby. Have you ever heard of a Walter Frank?
Never. I've never heard that name be mentioned, Walter.
There may be a reason for that. We find a record for him in Whitechapel Union Infirmary in October of the same year, registering his death.
Wow.
So she's had a really tough time.
She has.
Emotionally, physically.
Yeah.
Really the worst start in life she could have hoped for.
Oh, poor Martha.
However, in life, at least in the old-fashioned fairy books, all you needed was a good man, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So who comes along in 1900?
My great-granddad.
Aha! She's married David Alexander.
Wow.
And there's more to come for Sarah when Tessa reveals a religious divide in the family.
We found several of the girls in a record of baptisms for the Church of England.
My God, really?
Next up, Onyeka is helping one man find out more about his grandfather's incredible war story. 10 million servicemen and civilians were captured and sent to detention camps in World War I. Among that number was Paul Toon's grandfather. Now, Paul wants to find out how he ended up in a German prisoner of war camp.
My name is Paul Toon. I'm a Freemason, and I'm currently the Worshipful Master of the Knighton Lodge. And my grandfather, Elijah Toon, was a soldier in the First World War. He went off to fight in 1914 and came out in 1918. My grandfather died in 1959 when I was 6 years old. I inherited his medals, which I didn't really take much notice of till recent years when I was looking at my family tree, thinking, what did he do? Was he some form of hero of some sort? I understand he was taken prisoner at one stage. I don't know where or when. Sadly, my father died last year, so again, that kind of source of information that I couldn't get anymore. If I can find out the answer to these questions, I'll be actually more thrilled than anything else. And it's all things that I just feel I need to log and make sure that it's passed on to future generations. Because otherwise it'll just die out with me.
Hello, Paul.
How'd you do?
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, you understand that you brought some medals?
Yes, I found these when I was clearing out my father's attic.
So you don't know why your grandfather got these medals?
No.
Or what he did in World War I?
No. And he was a soldier, that was it.
These are the war records for Elijah Toone. It has the list of his regiment, Leicestershire Yeomanry, that he was a corporal at that point. And it shows that he was awarded the Victory Medal and the British War Medal. The British War Medal is awarded to every person who entered into the war. And the Victory Medal was awarded to the vast majority of men who served. So they were relatively common. He also received a more uncommon award known as the Meritorious Service Medal, which in Elijah's case was awarded in recognition of devotion to duty and valuable services rendered whilst a prisoner of war or interned. That's a very uncommon award.
Tell me more.
So we need to now find out what he did as a prisoner of war. This is a record of your grandfather's examination, because obviously every prisoner of war was examined on coming back. They wanted to find out if they'd crossed over to the enemy lines, and that's why, you know, they were now free. This account explains how he was taken as a prisoner of war on the 14th of November, 1914, near Ypres. And he was taken in cattle carts to Wittenberg prisoner of war camp. The camp was about 10.5 acres on a plot of ground that was actually designed for a much smaller number of men. There were at least 17,000 soldiers crammed into that small space. It was a desperate place. Many of the men were in rags, their shoes were worn through, and they were forced to wear straw on their feet. There is an account of a doctor who attended one of the prisoners, and he brushed his shoulder to remove some dust. And he found out that it was not dust on his shoulder, but lice, living lice. The rations were put in trolleys and just sent forward because the soldiers were dying of typhus. You know, over 185 people, perhaps more, died of typhus. In December 1914, the German military left the camp. So effectively, they'd been left to die. Dogs were brought in to maintain the line that the soldiers did not cross. But your grandfather escaped.
How?
Now, Elijah provided an account of his escape. This is what your grandfather says. He explained that because of his experience, he managed to pretend that he was a member of the Royal Army Medical Corps. And he and another man left the camp on December the 28th and were escorted by the German officials because they were convinced they were part of the medical corps. They were able to cross from German lines into the British lines with apparently almost no effort at all. He had his wits about him the whole time.
That's where I must get it from, then.
And then when he was on the British lines, he wired the British government to let them know where he was. They came back to England on the 6th of January after spending some days in Aldershot where he was examined. And then he proceeded home.
Amazing. Didn't know that.
There's a lot to take in, I know. So your grandfather was in this terrible, horrific war camp. And not only did your grandfather have immense courage, he had the wherewithal to effect his escape.
Yes.
And effect the escape of another as well.
Yes.
That's an incredible...
It is. It's a great story. It really is.
So what's been passed on to you now is a great legacy.
Yes, definitely. And I can pass it on to my sons and grandson.
Thank you, Paul. It's been a tremendous pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The story of the prisoner of war camp was just incredible, especially to kind of survive it and escape. And the method of escaping was quite ingenious. It just makes me immensely proud because to have the initiative to help others and actually to escape, to rejoin the war effort. The whole family's like that. There's an old adage, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And we've always been leaders. We can't have second best. We just go for it. And it's obviously come probably via my grandfather.
Paul now knows the truth about his grandfather's ingenious escape from the prisoner of war camp and can take real pride knowing how he won those medals. Earlier, we met Sarah Jardine, who learned a lot about her great-grandmother's tough early start in life.
So it's a precarious existence for Marjorie at this stage. Orphaned, 2 stints in a workhouse, invidious work as a domestic servant, and now an illegitimate baby.
Things began to look up, though, when Marjorie met Sarah's grandfather.
However, in life, at least in the old-fashioned fairy books, all you needed was a good man, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So who comes along in 1900?
My great-granddad.
Aha! Let's see if we've got a wedding certificate. Wow. Literally a year after the death of her son, she's married David Alexander. And we can see there he's registering himself as a fishmonger, his father a butcher. You mentioned your great-grandfather came from Poland, is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah. We're told he's come from Poland with his brother Israel.
It's quite tough going being a Jew from Eastern Europe in the East End of London.
I can imagine.
There was a reason why thousands of Jews were leaving Poland, Romania, Russia.
Yeah.
Things were really beyond the pale, literally. And they were arriving in considerable numbers, and they weren't welcomed.
No.
By 1905, Britain passes its first ever piece of immigration legislation in direct response to the outcry that is caused by the number of East European Jews arriving in the East End. It's the Aliens Act, as it's known.
Wow, didn't know that.
So, tough for David, tough for Marjorie. You're brought up as a Jewish girl, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a Jewish girl from North West London.
So the presumption was that Marjorie converted? What's the family story there?
I guess we just kind of assumed that she converted because the children were brought up as Jewish kids. And apparently she was quite strict to sort of keep to Jewish tradition.
You mentioned her being strict. Let's just check in with that family tree. Here we have your grandmother, Martha. Here she is with David.
Yeah.
And she's had numerous children. Starting from 1901, she gets cracking straight away. And she doesn't stop. I mean, by the time Joseph, your grandfather's born, she's in her 40s. You'd have to be strict. You mentioned that all the children grew up as Jews and went to the same Jewish school that you later went to. Well, we found several of the girls in a record of baptisms for the Church of England.
Oh, my God, really?
So all the girls seem to have been baptised in the Church of England.
But I wonder why she got the girls baptised and not the boys.
It might be they were considered a better prospect for marriage.
Right.
If they were baptised into the church.
Right.
They couldn't be of the Jewish faith, officially, because their mother was a Gentile.
Yeah.
But they could be baptised into the Church of England.
That is a shocker. That really is a shocker.
Remember, it was all about giving your children the best possible chance in life.
Yeah, of course.
And Martha knows what it's like to be on the outside, as does David, as an East European.
So that was really important to them.
Yeah. Wow. I wonder how that leaves you feeling, Sarah, about great-grandmother Martha.
I feel sad for her, obviously, for what she went through. I'm glad she met David, and I'm glad that she had all those kids, and she also must have found some happiness.
And thank goodness it's resulted in you being here today to remind us of just how tough things could be.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And it's been a shock, but I'm really pleased we found out so much about her. Really appreciate it.
It was unexpected.
but really, really interesting. I feel really, really proud because she was obviously a real fighter and she made it through some really awful times. Finally, you know, we've solved the mystery of Marjorie, Martha, I'm not quite sure what to call her, but now I can talk a little bit to my son and obviously my dad and my aunties and uncles about, you know, where she came from, who she was and what she went through. So we know all those things now, so really excited to tell the family about it.
Lots of mysteries solved for Sarah, who now knows her great-grandmother's real name, where she came from, and her eventual triumph over adversity. Coming up, Tessa has an emotional revelation for another guest.
The year before he married, they had a baby daughter.
British family numbers seem to be increasing, but we have a long way to go to match 18th century figures where the average number of children was 7. Patricia Hansford wants to find out about an ancestor who seemed to go completely against the norm and just had 1 child.
My name is Patricia Hansford and I originally come from Hull. It was my uncle in Canada. He got me interested in the family tree. He was doing his side. He used to ring my dad, ask him for information, and then me and my dad would trot down to the library, have a look on the microfilm to see what we could find. I found it quite exciting, and I think Dad did too. And it gave us that bond at that time in our lives. My main question would be to find out about William Waltham. What I know of William is he died in 1842. He was a drover, I presume with cattle or sheep. He had 1 son, Walter, and in that period, people didn't stick at 1 child. They all had big families. Did Walter have other siblings? But if he did, what happened to them? I've now hit a brick wall, and I personally can't get any further back with William. I want to do this for my dad. He was the Waltham line for me, and I want to extend it for him. He would have encouraged me to do that.
So, Pat, welcome.
Thank you.
So you're here today to find out about your great-great-great-great-granddad.
Yes.
Right? Now, that's the wonderful William Waltham.
It is.
And this man here is your dad.
It is.
And he got you started on this journey, didn't he?
He did, yes. Yeah.
The William Waltham that we're looking for, we've found a record for him. So this is a marriage record. This is for William Waltham and Jemima Forsdyke. These are your 4 times great-grandparents.
Yes.
And they're getting married in Cambridgeshire in 1824. He was 32 and she was 24. And you said they had a son called Walter.
Yes.
We've located a birth record for Walter Waltham in Spalding. Now, we believe the birth occurred on the 16th of April in 1839. Now, when we think about family history, and we think particularly around this time, we have a tendency to think of big families.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of reasons why, you know, there wasn't viable contraception. More children often meant more help, particularly if you were an agricultural labourer, you had more children to help with the work that you were doing. So big families had an advantage to some extent. And you also had, you know, huge infant mortality rates.
Yeah.
And so your suspicion was, well, I found 1, there must be others. When we see this record actually dates to 39, but this is 15 years after they're married. You can have a lot of kids in 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to look to see if there's more children.
Yes.
We don't have civil registration yet. Civil registration happened in 1837, I think it came in.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you have the Parish Act, which required them to register all the baptisms. If you didn't have your children baptised, they don't exist in the records.
Yeah.
So there could be a whole bunch of reasons why you struggle to find any. But take some solace from the fact that we couldn't find any either.
Right.
You know, when we start to think about why couldn't we find any more children, we have to start positing a theory
about why was that the case. We've found something that we think supports the economic theory,
right,
if you like. So this is a newspaper article from 1840. William Waltham, drover, hath by indenture of assignment bearing the date the 30th of November last, assigned and transferred all his personal estate and effects unto Thomas Wadsley and Samuel Pockington. So what we think has happened here is this is a suggestion that perhaps he was having some financial difficulty and transferred his effects to them in order to cover some kind of debt. But what we do know, right, at this point in time, he was living apart from Jemima and he was in financial difficulty. So she was probably doing what she needed to do in order to put food on the table for her and William. And he was doing what he needed to do in order to try and solve the financial difficulties he'd found himself in.
Right. I hadn't thought of them being separated or in that respect, anyway.
When we look on the 1851 census, 10 years later, we still see them living apart. And then we found this record, which is the death record for William Waltham. Jemima, his wife, was present at his death.
Yeah.
This single entry on this document, to me, says that there was something still there between the two of them. She was there when he needed her to be there.
Yeah. Nice to think they weren't separated and hated each other, basically. And it's nice to know that he didn't die alone.
But who was he? How was he seen by others? And one of the things we have to be really careful about when we're doing family history is to measure someone based on one record or two records, which is why we should look far and wide for information about who they were. And so I want to show you something that we found that I think gives us a wonderful insight into who your 4 times great-grandfather, William Waltham, was. It's an obituary.
Right.
His interment took place on Sunday last in the presence of one of the largest assemblages ever collected in Wilton. More than 500 persons passed over a bridge in procession at the entrance of the village, and upon reaching the church, the number was considerably increased.
Wow.
He was clearly a man of some standing in the community.
Yeah. I've never seen that before. To think that he was so well known and represented.
He was clearly well loved by the community.
Yeah.
Just by looking a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right of the sort of traditional approach. We found a lot more of the story of who this man was. And I hope we've given you a bit more insight into your family.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And this is the man who inspired it all, isn't it? This is your dad.
That's my dad, yeah. I can't look at it. Yeah.
How do you think he'd feel to know all this stuff?
He would have been over the moon. He was really interested in it. As to the names, what happened in the family, it's hard even looking at that.
And it's your dad's story just as much as it's your story.
Yeah.
Pat, thank you for coming.
Thank you. That was very good, very interesting. Finding out that when William died, that there was 500 people attended his funeral. Fascinating. I wouldn't have even thought there was 500 people that lived in the area. But to know that and have that knowledge shows he was well respected and gives you a bit more of an insight into the person that he was.
So Patricia leaves today having learnt a lot more about her 4 times great-grandfather, William Waltham. Spain in the 1930s was so deeply divided between the right-wing nationalists and the left-wing Republicans that civil war broke out. Carmen Edwards from Wrexham wants to know if she has a connection to this historic event through her father, who she last saw
61 years ago.
I would like to know whether my father told any of the truth about his background. My name is Carmen Edwards. I live in Wrexham, but I was born in Reading in Berkshire. My parents split up before my first birthday, and I haven't seen my father since I was 4. When I was very young, you know, when things are going wrong in school and all the rest of it, the fantasy was that my father would come and, white knight, shining armour, take me away from all this. One of the few things I do have relating to my father is my birth certificate. And his name on that is Fernando Francis Athania. The story I was told was that my grandfather was Manuel Athania, who was president of Spain during the Civil War. I want to know if that's true. I was told that my father left Spain because of the Civil War, and he went to South Africa. I don't know how true it is. And eventually came to Britain. I want to know who my father was. Yes. Whoever he was my father. And I'd like the truth.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What a fascinating story. Your father, Fernando Francisco Ferdi, I believe, Athania, claiming to be none other than the son of Manuel Athania, the former president of Spain. Wow. That's been quite a legacy for you to live with, or an idea of a legacy.
Yes.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the man on the screen, Manuel Athania. He was extraordinary from a wealthy, educated background, but a precocious politician from an early age. He's part of a group of liberals who oust Alfonso VIII, and Manuel becomes president in 1936. He wins the national elections and is really seen by many as this extraordinary politician, a man who is able to get some kind of semblance of order on the left from a hodgepodge of anarchists and socialists and communists and, of course, his Republicans. And it's called the Popular Front. What happens, of course, is there's a civil war. Huge number of lives are lost. By early 1939, Barcelona's fallen to the nationalists. At this stage, our man here, Manuel, has retreated into France. He says, I can't face any more loss of life, you know. And he dies in 1940 of a heart attack. So really a bitterly disappointing end for an extraordinary politician. Is your father one of his direct descendants? That is the question for today. Holding on to that thought, here we have a marriage certificate from Reading.
Yeah.
You said you were born in Reading, didn't you?
Yes.
Here he is, Francis Ferdinand Athania, married to your mother, Mary Elizabeth Roberts.
Yes.
So in this marriage certificate, in 1948, he is citing the former president of Spain as his father.
Oh.
Now, let's have a delve, if we may, into Manuel Athania's private life. Here he is with his wife.
Right.
The couple didn't have any children. And if your father's age is correct in that marriage certificate, and he was indeed born around 1913, it's not possible that she could have been his mother. She would have been too young.
Right.
In later documents, your father also claims that he was the nephew of Manuel Athania. So we thought we'll look into that as well. Manuel has 2 recognised brothers, of which only Gregorio had a son.
Right.
And that son was assassinated during the Spanish Civil War.
Ah.
So at the moment, the idea of your father being a direct descendant of the Athania political dynasty, if you like, is looking pretty tenuous. But let's keep going, because we want to find out who your father was. Get a bigger, better picture of this man. He then later claims that he became a lieutenant colonel in the South African Air Force.
Yes.
So we looked into records to see if we could track him in a military capacity in South Africa.
Yes.
We could neither place him in South Africa nor in the Air Force or in the military in general during that period. We have a documentation gap for your father.
Yes.
Okay, so let's focus on what we do know. We do know he was a language monitor for the BBC from 1948 to 1952. We do know that he married your mother in Reading in 1948.
Yes.
Your mother filed for divorce on grounds of desertion in the
Yes.
mid-1950s.
Yes.
What did you believe became of your father after he left your mother?
I have no idea.
This is your father's second marriage certificate in 1957. There were a couple of new facts, if we may label them as such at the moment. One is that he was an embassy secretary. So he's changed his job, but his father has changed somewhat. Still a Nathania, but this time a Fernando.
Yes.
There does seem to be an inconsistency in terms of the story your father's telling, even on documents.
Yes. I'm glad I'm hearing this now when I can take it. At 68, I can take it. At 28.
Here he is, in Brazil, in 1962, applying for a visa to Peru. I wonder if you're intrigued as to what he's doing.
Yeah, he's avocado. He's a lawyer.
He's claiming that his profession is that of a lawyer. This is the first time we'd come across this. That would have meant, probably, in all likelihood, he trained as a lawyer in Spain, so you'd expect him to have studied law in one of the Spanish universities. We could find no evidence of that. Whether that was one of your father's inventions, or whether, again, it was due to a lack of records.
Right.
There's something else vital that this document tells us. It's the first time we've seen a mother named.
Yes.
And what's your name?
Carmen.
It would appear that you may well have been named after your paternal grandmother. By now, he's working for the International Transport Workers Federation. He begins as a linguist, I believe, but becomes some sort of regional manager. Let's just go to a second visa application we have. This confirms that by now he's living in Lima, Peru.
Right.
And work records from this time testify to a man who was adventuresome, charismatic, effective.
Yes, charismatic, yes.
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 However, I'm afraid I do have something difficult to share with you in the context of his career in South America, which began well. He is accused of fraud. These are allegations that cause an almighty fall from grace. They don't press charges. He's not convicted of fraud. But when we next catch up with him, it proves fatal. We're back in London. It's 1965. We know that although he was an interpreter for much of his life, or in fact, at the time of his death, he was a night porter in the hotel in which he was found dead. You say you couldn't have managed this as a young woman. I wonder how 68-year-old Carmen's doing.
I knew there was something not right. But apparently he could charm the birds off the trees.
And indeed, that is in evidence in many of his work colleagues' comments. He had tremendous charisma.
Yeah.
So we're unable to pin your father genetically to Manuel Azaña. And your father, I think we can conclude, was a complex man. We're not quite finished.
Oh.
The year before he married his second wife, they had a baby daughter.
Ooh. that. Oh. I've got a sister.
You do.
A real one.
She was born in England, and if she's still alive, she'll be 62 years old.
Oh.
Have you always been an only child?
Yes.
Well, that is something you could potentially look into.
Yes. Oh.
You've done really well, Carmen. Quite a lot to despair.
Thank you.
It's a table across from a stranger.
Whoa. That's the biggest shock. And the best one, too. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing this amazing story with us. Certainly a colourful character.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All's forgiven, isn't it? He was my dad. That's all there is to it, really. I was an only child. I've been an only child for 68 years. And now you turn around and tell me I'm not. I've got a sister who's 6 years younger than me. Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Carmen may not be related to the former president of Spain, but she has discovered a half-sister she never knew about.